As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. By the way, Sam Flannel's in the chat. Flannel's in the chat. And shout out Sam Flannel. Shout out Sam Flannel. He's at a concert right now.
He's at a concert watching the boys?
He's a ride or die.
Yeah, that's a real one. That is a real one.
What concert is the man at?
A Senses Fail.
That's a Sam Flannel concert.
And that's Sam's. He's gonna be in the mosh pit. He'll be raging out before he's tapping with the fellas. So we appreciate you, Flannel. You're the
Let's go, Flannel.
This is exactly why.
Yeah, shout out Flannel. We got a lot to get to today. Obviously, more Lions-Colts. We got our NFL pick'em, which I have the updated records for everybody. Had a tough week last week. Tough week last week, not going to lie to you. And we have a special guest joining, covers the Colts. He'll join at 8:30, Destin Adams. So we'll get to talk to a beat writer from like we do every single week from an opposing team. So that'll be fun. But, fellas, Sunday, we'll be at the Hub Sports Bistro. Remind everyone, if you're looking for something to do, we'll be there 12 p.m., 5 p.m. We'll be there for pretty much half the day, hanging out, doing our pregame, watch party, postgame. So if you got some time on your hands, come hang out with the fellas. So I cannot wait for it. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
I'm pumped up. Can't wait. Drink some real American beer. The Hub, some Detroit Lions, some Colts. Well, not Colts, but, Lions versus Colts. I don't really care about the Colts at all. You guys see, by the way, huh?
I was saying, this is my Colts.
Yeah, we should play that. We should play that.
Bro, honestly. That video.
I don't think we'll get flagged or anything.
No, because I posted something about it on my Twitter too. Those videos are so funny, but it just pissed me off this week. Like, it just made me mad. Like, he did the I don't know what he did at the beginning, bro, but I was like, what are we doing? Did you guys see Pat McAfee today? What happened with him? With your guy, Klotz? He went by like 20.
Yeah, so Zaire. So Pat,
I only saw what you posted.
I do, by the way. I don't think Pat's wrong. We've been through it. So people who have played in the organization and who have won there are allowed to have a say. That's just me. And like if Ben Wallace came back and said like the leadership needs to be like, that's respectable, right? Like I respect that. Pat had 1 week went at AR, went at him, said this man needs to figure it. He's the leader of a multi-billion-dollar organization. Like he needs to figure this thing out. And then the next week he came back, played well, and then Pat was like, all right, there we go. Zaire went on his podcast, the power of the podcast, as the doc would say, the power of the podcast.
Name, Boone.
Yeah, power of the podcast, and he basically like called Pat out, being like I guess guys in the locker room and all these different people like just don't like Pat McAfee because he went in there, like he has been flip flopping on sides and he's calling guys out. Which again, I'm okay with people calling call how it is. I think. Is my mic cutting out? Can you guys hear me? Am I good?
You sound fine on my end.
People are saying my mic's cutting out. Maybe I don't know if it's a stream
or
if it's
some with the stream. Yeah.
Yeah. But Pat today on the show just went off on him after Zaire went off, and he said, "Give me the Detroit Lions by 20, boys." I was like, "Let's go! Welcome to the ship, baby."
I'm all for it. And it is weird because like when you look at the Colts, like it's not like they have a roster like the Lions, Eagles, like the premier roster, but that is not a bad roster whatsoever. So it has to be in. You're not telling Jim Irsay shit either. That's the thing. Like Jim Irsay, he's won a Super Bowl with that team, so you cannot tell him a damn thing. But yeah, like Gus Bradley, from GM to even like Shane Steichen, like you guys know I was super high on him. I think he's going to probably, the way it looks, at least after this season, probably fall into like what you say about Mike McDaniel, Boone, as far as a great offensive mind, but is he really a head coach in the NFL, especially when you have the Texans in that division as well? So it's gonna be tough. Another thing though, boys, just before we get into the show, see Daniel Jones today? That is one of the most wild, just like from point A to point B, one of the most wild like careers in NFL history as far as with the team. To be paid 4 years, $140 million instead of signing Saquon Barkley, and then you get benched, moved to safety at the scout team, and then released the next day. So crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Daniel Jones, and then you see the rumors him going to the Cowboys, like he's like this like marquee free agent. It's like Daniel Jones, dude. I feel bad for him. I mean, I do. I really do. But, if you're looking at it like realistically, the Giants do got to stink, man. They need a quarterback. They need like a quarterback. So
can I just get a serious question to you two?
Yeah.
Do you guys think Daniel Jones is that bad, or is it just like in New York? It's just because I have seen and this is where I'm at with some quarterbacks. When I see a ceiling of a quarterback, I believe it's like a great coach and a great roster, you can get that out of him consistently. And we have seen like ceilings of Daniel Jones, but he's been in New York, and like that team as a whole, like they just let go of Saquon for nothing. Like that whole situation there. Like, is there a chance that he goes somewhere and he ends up, another 2-3 more years as a starter and like Saquon came out today and was like, good for him. Like he gets to revitalize his career somewhere fresh. Like, I hope he makes something of it. I feel like this is going to be one of those situations where Daniel Jones, as much as people might think he's bad, he ends up on like a Las Vegas Raiders and ends up putting together another 3-4 years of his career, like starting.
You want me to be honest? If I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm Daniel Jones' agent.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, if Sam Darnold can have success in the NFL, and if you watch Sam Darnold's tape out of college, it's going to be more wow. But it's because he's playing at USC with better weapons compared to Duke. If you watch those two in the NFL, I think Sam Darnold probably has a stronger arm. But I think as a football player, like inside the pocket, that's where Daniel Jones is a little bit better. If you he got released. You're bringing him in for scraps. Brock Purdy, a 7th-round pick, looks like he could be a Pro Bowler at sometimes. I think if Daniel Jones would be like a backup for the Niners, and then if they want to see what they got out of him, potentially move off of Purdy and use Daniel Jones for a year, maybe just to stay above float. Like, I think he's a guy that can win some good football games with the offensive head coach. I don't think he's going to go, like, when I say if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm picking him up, Brock or Daniel Jones is going to win your Super Bowl. No. But I think if you plug him into a system like that, that's where you could see those ceiling moments a little bit more consistently. Because it's not like he's not a talented football player. Like, he's a big athlete. He has a decent arm. It's just he can never piece it together. And with the New York Giants, with the way that they have been looking over the last couple of years, he wasn't piecing it together there. So if I'm Shanahan, if I'm Kevin O'Connell, if I'm an offensive mind like that, like if I'm Mike McDaniel and Tua is getting hurt every other week, it seems like I'm calling up Daniel Jones. He'll be the best backup in the league. And he'll be a good backup. That's what I think he is. Like, as a starter, I think his ceiling is limited. I think what makes him interesting as a backup or as a starter is his legs. Like he can move, and I don't know. I don't know. Like, he beat speaking of the Sam Darnold, the Vikings thing, he did beat the Vikings in a playoff game, and he played pretty well.
Yeah.
But besides his rookie year, I'm going to be honest. I saw his rookie year. I was like, this dude ain't bad. And then after that, never threw 20 TDs again. I mean, he just never even got close. So I don't know what it is. I get that. He had Saquon the first couple of years.
Yeah, but what weapons has he had outside of Malik Neighbors this year? His whole time there, like legit. If you put him on a team with like Debo and Juwan Jennings and George Kittle, like with the talent he does, like this is where I start to deter a little bit with people on Twitter and all these people hating on Daniel Jones. The man has an arm and he can run, and if you really do think about it, somehow for him in New York to do what he did that year to go to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I know he had Saquon, but to even like put up any type of numbers, they had no, like, who are their receivers there? It was literally Isaiah Hodgins in the playoffs. That was it. And like that's like if you put them on the Lions or you put them on the Chiefs or if you put them on any team, they're like wide receiver 5-6. So like or 4-5. I'll go for it. I'll be a little more respectful. But like you see what I mean? Like if somehow a team's like we need, like what if Tua hangs it up and you're like, all right, we need someone. Go get Daniel Jones with Tyreek Hill and finally just even if he ends up not being good, just give the man some opportunity in his career to actually have some weapons to throw the ball to so we can at least see what Daniel Jones could have been. That's all I'm saying. I think there might be he's going to be a starter in the league next year, I think.
Like if the Lions didn't have Hendon Hooker and they signed Daniel Jones, I would honestly be like, good. Like if you're an NFL team and you don't have like a young developing backup or you don't have like a Case Keenum in Buffalo, like you need Daniel Jones. Like Daniel, like it might not be next season, but there will be a time when Daniel Jones is a starter in the NFL again.
Okay. Sam Darnold could start.
Can we we gotta stop this. Like and I love you, Ryan. Like this we're getting
Jalen Waddle.
We're getting too
Jonnu Smith
over the edge. Tyreek and Jones would be disgusting. He would be disgustingly bad. Honestly,
I disagree. I disagree.
All jokes aside, he would be fine. But like he wouldn't do what Tua has done. No, he wouldn't do. Like in terms of production, no way.
By the way, Ryan Tannehill, or like Jonathan, like Ryan Tannehill had a starting job for like 8 years. Daniel Jones is better than good. Daniel Jones has more. Dude, has way more skill than him. His arm and his leg. He was never great. Maybe good's a stretch, but dude, he's had like a stretch of seasons where it's like that dude's a starter. You know what I mean?
He had a season.
Look at his first with the Dolphins.
Look, Tannehill with the Dolphins was terrible.
The end of it. Have you seen, dude? Check Tannehill. No. Go do me a favor. Go look at Tannehill.
Go look at the numbers, please. Look at the numbers. No, I remember what I saw out of Ryan Tannehill, except his first year when they went from Mariota to Tannehill. I can remember vividly him turning around 30 times a game. Go, Derrick Henry. Toss a slant.
Tannehill is way.
It's crazy. Tannehill still doesn't have a job too. Like it's kind of nuts.
He did fall off, but no.
I thought he was going to get signed at some point.
Daniel Jones and Ryan Tannehill.
I think Daniel Jones is better.
How about this, Daniel Jones? Can we just throw 20 TDs? We'll start there. How about that? Can we just throw 20 TDs? Can we just get there?
I know Klotz is over there typing up Ryan Tannehill right now. He's like, how many has he thrown for?
I know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill, I mean, he started for so many years. Like, dude, Daniel Jones can just give him a roster, man. He never had one in New York. Never. Not once. And somehow he still made it to the playoffs one year. Well, obviously, it was Saquon. He was just Saquon.
Yeah.
But the man has never had anything. Nothing.
Well, I got the injury updates here for practice. Little concerning. Nothing to be like terrified about, about the like potentially losing. But, some of the guys that could be out all play the same position, which probably, isn't great. You see the full practice here for Carlton Davis, which he's going to play. Emmanuel Mosley had a full practice. He's questionable. He'll probably end up playing because they're going to need some depth because if you guys haven't checked, Ennis Rakestraw is ruled out officially, and Terrion Arnold is questionable, and Emmanuel Mosley's questionable. So you have some guys here, but this is not today's, but show today's. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, you see the questionable. Ennis Rakestraw out, Terrion Arnold questionable, Emmanuel Mosley questionable. So you have
the Rakestraw one's just out of nowhere, a hamstring.
Yeah, it probably happened in practice, or did he play last week? I guess because they blew out the Jags, so it could have occurred last week's game. But the Terrion Arnold, the groin's like a serious. I mean, it definitely bothers you. Yeah, it lingers exactly. So that's probably an injury that if I'm the Lions, knowing how they operate, you rest him. Like he doesn't play, in my opinion. He shouldn't. I don't think you should put him out there with a tweaked groin. I mean, if it gets worse, he can be out weeks, weeks and weeks. So I would assume they're without Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw this week. Potentially, you get Emmanuel Mosley.
They did ask Dan in the press conference today about Terrion, and he said it can't. He basically said he was like, I think he's going to be good to go. So I think Terrion ends up going. I think if you want to be safe a little bit, he also mentioned like he would love to, I think it was like almost word for word. He was like, I would love to have Emmanuel Mosley on Sunday. And I think that's because like with no Rakestraw, like obviously special teams. And then you saw at times Rakestraw can come in slot outside, like all of that. If there is something with the Terrion situation, even if Terrion, like he said, he mentioned, he said he's good to go. If there's even any question, like you said, Jeff, and you have Mosley back, what do you do? Just like in Klotz, you can kind of touch on this too. Like what, move Amik to the outside and put Emmanuel in the nickel, or like vice versa, like one of the ways. But then you have Emmanuel back to be able to, if Terrion can't go a full game, or maybe he tweaks it a little bit more, you do have that depth. Because if you don't have Rakestraw and you don't have Emmanuel Mosley and Terrion goes down, now you're in a spot to where it's like, okay, now we probably go Brandon Joseph, move Brian Branch to the nickel, get Amik outside, and like, move out, like you're really moving things around. So it is a little different. Like it is a pretty big deal. It sucks to see three basically. I mean, even with Carlton was full practice, but 3 corners on the game status list that came out today, it was literally just 3 corners. That was it.
Oh, and you're forgetting a key piece in this, unless he's hurt, and I'm just not sure. Kendall Vildor.
Vildor played last week. Yeah, I guess so.
Look, if I had to guess, like, and obviously you never want to see these players hurt. If there's a week where you can afford both those guys being out, Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, it's a gift to Anthony Richardson because he's not going to be throwing the most accurate passes. You can get away with playing a little bit more zone. If I had to guess what they're going to do, they're just going to throw Vildor on the outside with Carlton and leave Amik on the outside. If they want to rotate Emmanuel, then I'm sure they'll rotate Emmanuel with Amik and put Amik outside because even during training camp, like that's where Mosley pretty much was the whole time at the nickel spot because coming off 3 major injuries, you're not going to be the athlete that you once were on the outside. And it's all about timing and being able to react. And Emmanuel Mosley, he definitely has lost a step after those 3 injuries. So I don't see him playing outside, maybe like in the goal line, the red zone situation. But if I had to assume, they're just going to throw Vildor out there. And honestly, this week, I'm not that concerned about it. If it was against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills or even like Jordan Love, a divisional game, the Vikings, the Bears, like, I don't want to have it this week. But against the Indianapolis Colts with the Lions, the defensive way we've been playing, Zadarius Smith coming in, I'm fine with Kindle Vildor out there for 1 week.
Yeah, I Kindle Vildor, to me, he's someone that you don't want to run with for a long period of time. All due respect to him. I think 1 game with this quarterback, I'm okay with it. Given he's not the most accurate quarterback. You're not in these receivers. I promise you won't have a bounce off a helmet moment with any of these guys. So Kindle can handle his business. He's been fine. I mean, he's played a couple snaps this year at times, especially in the preseason. He looked all right. He's good depth. Like I don't have a problem with Vildor out there for a game. I don't. I would rather see Terrion Arnold get 100% healthy, and then you could play him. Like I understand if they feel he's ready, they'll play him. I have no issue with that, but I don't think it's worth it for this type of game. Like you want him for the Bills game, you know what I mean? And that's in 2 weeks. And you have a short week this week, guys, against the Bears. Yeah, so you're going to play him with a banged up groin, and then he plays Thursday, and then he plays the next week.
To be honest, though, I think the fact though that it was just 1 day essentially limited. I don't think it's as bad as I think it's like for the media, like obviously asking the question because you see him on the report. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not no Kindle Vildor hate. But I would think if it was 1 day limited, I don't think it's as bad as we think. Like it might have been like a little tweak. It wasn't even like he sat out a full practice. It was just like a, limited. Like I'll do walkthrough, but I won't go full pads. That's what it seems like. So I'm guessing. My guess, if I had to bet money on it, I'm a gambling man. I'm putting money down on the man's going to play the full game. So Kindle Vildor, all these comments about Kindle Vildor in the chat, don't even have to worry about it. The man's going to play some football. I would think.
You don't got to put the spare on this week, hopefully. Dude, that comment is so foul. Comparing Kindle Vildor to a spare.
I mean, like, half of these comments are tough.
A spare tire. That's wild.
That's tough. You're just you need something. You're on the side of the road. This is the only thing you got, and you got to put it on the car, and it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, that is crazy work, though. Spare tire.
It's not like he's got to go up against like Justin Jefferson or anything this week, too. So like he can be out there and with Josh Downs or Alec Pierce, yeah.
None of these receivers put fear in my eyes besides Michael Pittman, and I don't really. It goes back to who's at quarterback to me. I don't know, man. I've been a big. I don't want to say like hater, but I'm not as optimistic about Anthony Richardson panning out as probably other people are. I just don't. I don't see him panning out to be a great quarterback. That's just my opinion.
You're a hater.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I think accuracy to me is like one of the most important things as being a quarterback. And if you aren't accurate in college, Josh Allen, there's very few exceptions that translate. Josh Allen is actually one of them. He is one of the exceptions. He wasn't accurate in college, super accurate now. You know what I mean?
And he was still really good in college.
He was way better in terms of production, but I'm talking about just strictly accuracy. Like you don't see guys that are inaccurate in college just become accurate. You know what I mean?
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know. It's just how history. I mean, it's just how history pans out, kind of. So
doesn't that make you like? I don't know, dude. I always thought that was weird with Anthony Richardson. And you know what? When we have the guest on, I actually want to ask him this about AR. It's just like the thought process, like drafting him, and he was such a high. Like everyone loved him, and obviously it's because of his upside and his ceiling. But the production in Florida, I just never. I get drafting on upside, especially in the in specific positions and things like that. It's just to me. at the quarterback position. It's just one of those things like the Jaden Daniels. Like I loved Jaden Daniels because the production for even at Arizona State, it was there. And it was like, that stands out to me 9 times out of 10 times more than, hey, this guy has a ceiling. It's like, I've already seen this guy's almost off his ceiling and he could still fill out and learn the NFL game and this and that. Like with Josh Allen, like we still saw, like he still put stats up at Wyoming. Like he still was putting stats up and as well, he had the ceiling too. So he had both. It was just the AR thing was just such a weird, like didn't really do much in college at Florida. And now it's still like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, just keep waiting. Just keep waiting. It's like, all right, how long is I'm interested to see him tomorrow because the whole Colts like nation is like he was benched and then last week he comes back and has this great game and then it's like, oh, he's back. He's this franchise again. It's like, don't you guys want to see more than 1 week? Or is that just me? Like if I was our quarterback in Detroit, like Goff, I mean, think about all the weeks that Goff had that's bad and people still like, we're in year 4 with him and there are still people who like question him sometimes. And he's been the most consistent quarterback in the NFL the last 2 years. So like I would love, like if I'm an Colts fan, I'd be like, I would love it. I think tomorrow or Sunday, I think the Brian Branch, Kirby, like Zadarius Smith, I think they're going to dominate him. I do. I think he's going to have a couple turnovers on Sunday.
I've been noticing too. No, go ahead, I'll mention it.
I think the whole thing with Anthony Richardson, I'm sure I already know of him, but kind of like what you were just saying about Daniel Jones, or as far as like when you see that ceiling, it's hard to unsee it. And especially with the Colts right now, who did they just draft the year prior to Anthony Richardson? CJ Stroud. No, they were in the same draft class actually, but either way, like you see that. And when you look at the quarterbacks of the past, they had Phillip Rivers on his last leg, so an absolute flagpole in the middle of the pocket. Then you go to Matt Ryan, an absolute flagpole in the middle of the pocket. Seeing where the NFL is going, and you look at that draft class, they were picking 5th overall. And if you look at the rest of the top 10, like there was somebody would have took them around that range too. And so it's just like, are you going to take your guy and try to make it work out? Or are you just going to be getting pummeled again for the next couple of years? And Anthony Richardson, it sucks too, because I think like if it was still the old NFL, quote unquote, where you actually let quarterbacks develop, like by year 3, I think he'd be not very good, but he'd be at least better than he's playing right now. Basically still his rookie year. But I don't know if the Colts, like, if they're in the middle of this pack again, like, do they move up and you want to go get a Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders? Like, you can't blame them for it either. So it's going to be difficult to see. But he's an exciting player to watch. Just he can't put it all together yet.
I've checked the line a couple times trying to look at some early bets. We'll get to the bets later. But I noticed one thing: more and more people are hammering the Colts plus 7.5. I like it's now more of a favorite than the Lions covering the 7.5.
Really?
So, I don't know why people are getting a sense of the Colts being like this sneaky team for the Lions. Maybe not even winning; it's just keeping it semi-close. I think, based on the number, based on the odds and more bettors and what do they call the wise guys, whatever the hell they use the term. People are, I guess, feel like this game will be a little closer than maybe Lions fans feel. I mean, at least for me, I think the Colts, the only way they hang in this game is if they can run the ball. Like, I think that's like, if Anthony Richardson gets going with his legs and Jonathan Taylor can kind of look like what the Vikings had with Aaron Jones, where he got like 90 yards, they can look productive. They can move the chains on the ground. I can see Anthony Richardson maybe getting a couple completions here or there. I don't see him beating the Lions only with his arm, but that's like the only way they're in this game. Maybe depending on who's at corner, maybe that helps them, but they have to be able to run the ball effectively for them to keep this game close, or the Lions struggling against this Colts defense, which on paper they have some guys, but statistically they have not been great. I don't know why that is, but I guess we have a different perspective because we watch this team every week and we cover this team.
Yep.
I don't see a scenario in which the Lions don't win by at least 10. Like, I don't know if they blow them out like by 30, 40, but they're covering the spread. I don't see a scenario in which they don't, if I'm being honest. I just don't.
I think I'm sitting here as I'm thinking about it, like trying to find a way for them to even stay in the game. And like one thing that I go to quick is like a team that's better than you. I've seen in college football all the time. Like, how do you get an upset? It's like try and control the time of possession. Like you said, Jeff, like running the ball, like keeping the ball out of their offense's hands, gaining extra possessions with turnovers. But then when you say, hey, all right, how do we win this game? What are the keys for like if you're a Indianapolis Colts on their team, how do we win this game? All right, let's get extra possessions. Let's get turnovers. Okay, what did the Houston Texans just do a couple weeks ago? They forced 5 turnovers. What did the Lions do? They bounced back, had multiple turnovers, and came back and won the football game. So it's like, all right, maybe we can't get 5 turnovers to come here and win this game. All right, how else can we do it? Time of possession. Okay, have other teams control time of possession versus the Detroit Lions. I'm looking at a game right here. The Detroit Lions win 31-29 over the Vikings. Vikings had a higher time of possession. Like, I just don't know. Like, the Lions have all these different ways to beat you, special teams, offense, defense. Like, for me, it would be like, hey, for the Colts to win on Sunday, and like the only way it would be, hey, you get them in the game, it's you have to be perfect on, hey, win the turnover battle, win the time of possession, win in the run game. Like, all of that has to be perfect. Be smart. No stupid penalties. All of that. And then you're sitting there and you're like, all right, we're in the game in the fourth quarter, just like the Texans were, just like the Vikings were, and give yourself a chance to come out with the win. That's kind of on my side. If I'm the Colts, that's how I would look at it. But again, it would have to be like a perfect game plan to go through it. I'm interested to see kind of how that defense goes up against this Lions offense. That's where I'm interested to see if they're able to slow them down a little bit, especially with the names on that defense, the amount of money and the names that they have on that defense.
Yeah, real quick, Klotz. I'm sorry to not let you go here. I'm going to get to Destin Adams, and we'll talk more about it after. Shout out to him, by the way. Reach out to him. He said I'm down. I'll join the show. I got no problem with doing it. Does a great job. Covers the Colts, and he's an NFL draft analyst for A to Z Sports. We've had a lot of A to Z guys on here. And it's
A to Z guys, hey, they do it right, man. They're good.
I don't know what they're doing over there. They got like a stacked roster or something. But please welcome to the show. By the way, as always, brought to you guys by BetUS. Please welcome to the show, Destin Adams. Destin, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Great, man. Number one, appreciate you joining the show, as always. We're talking Colts-Lions. That's kind of been the theme this week. And obviously the Lions, offensively, defensively, it's been great. We've been kind of wishing for something like this, a team that's just this dominant. Now, you got people doubting the Lions, which we kind of like. It's new. I want to get your perspective kind of on this game. Anthony Richardson last week looked great. It seemed like him being able to be kind of reset with the benching. What's kind of your early feel on how this game is going to go for the Colts? What's kind of the vibe around Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you're saying like people are still doubting the Lions. I don't know how anyone can watch the Lions, especially over the last month, and doubt them. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. I mean, I think this Lions team is proving to be a lot of people said they were the best roster on paper. That doesn't really matter, but now we're seeing it on the field in November. This is a dang good Lions team. So I think anyone doubting this Lions team is kidding themselves. I think this is going to be a big one. I mean, last week getting Anthony Richardson back on the field it felt like just what the doctor ordered for this Colts team that had no life for 3 weeks. I think Richardson came in. I think they were able to establish an identity on offense. You don't want to usually do that in week 11, but that's what happened with this Indianapolis team. So they just want to build on that. I think this Lions team is going to be tough. I think the matchup on paper is probably going to be the toughest game that the Colts play, especially how the Lions operate. But the Colts do what they can to claw back and keep games close. So I'm just hoping we don't see a repeat of what you guys did to Jacksonville.
Come on.
Hey, Destin, I appreciate you joining. I do want to just ask you, and this is kind of not the Lions-Colts matchup, but just kind of picking your brain on the Colts situation. Obviously, the last few weeks, it's been very, very public, and national media has been picking it up, what's going on with AR and all of that. What are your thoughts on Anthony Richardson and them kind of moving forward in the quarterback room as QB1? I know it probably hasn't been the 2 years of Anthony Richardson that Colts fans want, but is it still like, hey, full faith in him going forward, even after the benching? And then last week, like, do you want to see more out of him? Where are you at with that? And how do you think this Anthony Richardson situation will play out over the next, 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectation with Anthony Richardson, no matter where he ended up in the draft, should have been that it was going to be a work in progress. Like, there's a lot of talent there, but like usually when you say a prospect is raw, it's because like they just don't have a certain element of their game yet, and that needs to be toned. With Richardson, NFL teams didn't have enough tape to even like understand what this kid could do. They just saw the wow plays, and they were like, man, if we can make those happen more consistently, like this is an actual superstar. The Colts ended up being the team that take him at number 4, and they tell every single person that will listen, like, this is going to be a work in progress. You need to be patient with the kid. And then they benched him after 10 games, which makes it just a crazy situation. And it's been a wild month to cover this team. It's been a wild few years to cover this team with all the like ins and outs of what's been going on, actually. But I think Anthony Richardson has a lot of faith in that locker room. I think going back to him was a decision led by this locker room, and the players knew that they needed this kid back on the field, because there's been a whole lot of conversation about who gives the Colts the best chance to win games. And while you can say Joe Flacco as a veteran might be smarter and understand parts of the NFL that this kid doesn't know yet, I think we got to see last week that Richardson elevates this offense to a level that Joe Flacco at age 39 just isn't doing. So if Anthony Richardson is able to play composed, play confident, I think this kid gives the team the best chance to win games.
Yeah, Dustin, it's a kind of a common narrative around here. Going into the season, I was a big believer in Indy. I was a big believer in the Colts, and one reason was because as a Lions fan, we needed a defensive tackle going into the offseason. I wanted Grover Stewart bad. I wanted him bad. Obviously stayed in Indianapolis. But DeForest Buckner, he was out for a little while. Now that he's come back, what do you think that the Lions, because when you look at Indianapolis statistically as far as yards given up, they're at the bottom of the ranks. They're pretty far down there. What do you think Lions should expect now that DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart are healthy as far as stopping the run game and getting to Jared Goff?
Yeah, I mean, this Colts defensive line is night and day when Buckner and Grover are healthy and when they're not. Last year, we saw it when Grover Stewart was suspended for a few games. Their run defense plummeted from one of the best in the NFL to one of the worst. This year, Buckner goes on the IR and has to miss the first games of his NFL career, and ends up being bad enough that he has to miss at least 4. Misses those games, and the Colts defensive line goes from being a consistent pressure-based team to being below average in just about every statistic you can look at. His first week back, there were still some hiccups, still some growing pains, but he's back fully healthy at this point. It feels like as fully healthy as you can be in November. But he's out there and he's making a presence. And I think it opens up things for so many of these guys. I mean, we've seen Kwity Paye and Leatu Latu have multiple solid reps consistently over these past few weeks. And I think it's because Buckner and Grover are there to be able to not allow quarterbacks to just step up in the pocket when pressure comes around them. And I mean, Jared Goff is a guy that gets the ball out quick. I mean, that's one of the things the Lions offense likes to do, as you guys know. And the Colts saw that in the Jaguars loss that they had, because that's what the Jaguars made a very key point to do, was get the ball out quick. Buckner didn't play in that game. And I think that was a big reason that there was just no pressure throughout that day, and why Jacksonville was kind of able to do whatever they wanted. And they've made a lot of adjustments since then. So I'm really excited to see this one, because I think this is the first offense that's going to have a similar mindset to what Jacksonville did that week. You guys just happen to be better at every area.
Yeah.
I mean, that Jacksonville streak you guys are going through is no joke right now either. Going in.
If you don't believe in curses, just look at the Colts record in Jacksonville for the last decade, and you'll start to believe.
Yeah. Oh, we believe in curses in Detroit here. All right, the curses are real. Well, Destin, I want to ask you about the just the weapons. I feel, and I will say, man, the Colts got a nice collection of weapons. In the Lions, the cornerback room, a little banged up this week. They're getting their starter Carlton Davis. He's dealing with a broken thumb. Terrion Arnold's banged up. They got a couple guys. One guy's already ruled out, Ennis Straw, the other rookie, and then Emmanuel Mosley's coming back. They banged up corner room facing, Josh Downs, who's playing very well. Dropped him in fantasy. Thank you, by the way. Someone picked him up. He's playing great. And then you have, of course, Michael Pittman and A.D. Mitchell. What's kind of your thoughts on the matchup there? Because I will say Anthony Richardson, his arm talent, he can push the ball downfield, but the Lions got those 2 safeties that are, of course, top of the NFL in interceptions. What do you think of that matchup, the Colts weapons versus this secondary?
Yeah, I mean, the Colts like to take deep shots, and I would love to say that will take a step back because of how good the safeties are in Detroit. But knowing Richardson, you give him an inch, he's going to try and go for the mile. So I wouldn't rule it out. But, I mean, I don't think you can say enough good things about Branch. I mean, I don't even know if safety does him justice for how good of a player and what all he's asked to do in that defense. So he's definitely a guy that I'm nervous about. It'll be interesting to see how much they use him deep, or if they are going to use him to just completely shadow Josh Downs out of the slot. Because, I mean, the Colts offense is at its best when Josh Downs is being operated as their receiver one right now, especially with Michael Pittman playing through a back injury. You can tell that that's been hindering his abilities. So Josh Downs has been that third down conversion receiver. That's who they've looked at. And then you've seen Adonai Mitchell take some big steps these last couple of weeks, and Alec Pierce has been one of the better deep threat receivers in the entire NFL all season long. We saw it last week, even on that last drive where Richardson drives down the field to get the touchdown. He's the one that makes the big play to get them into scoring range.
Hey, Destin, we had the conversation before you hopped on. I wasn't sure if you were able, if you hopped on and heard it a little bit. But just on the Colts side, going into a game like this, what do you think are like the keys for them to be able to just try, like, to be in position to win this football game? I mentioned, just playing a smart football game, not dumb penalties, creating turnovers, things like that. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's a chance they're able to keep this game close? And if so, how do you think what's the formula of doing it for them?
Yeah, I mean, this Colts team has done a solid job at keep being in every single game they've played. Obviously, the Buffalo game gets a little bit out of hand at the end, but I mean, for those that watched it for 3.5 quarters, that game was a one-score game. Things kind of, like I said, got bad at the end, so that's the only non-one-score game they've had this season. But they like to they find ways to stay in there. They're not a team that's going to just punch out like I feel like we saw with Jacksonville last week with you guys, for example. Not to hound on them, they beat us, so can't go too much on them, but like that game, I just don't think will be the case in Indy. I think like I said earlier, I think they really figured out their identity last week in using the run game to get Richardson comfortable early with his legs, to where he's a little bit more comfortable when he has to drop back as a passer. And they opened it up last week to where they got him on the move off the snap to be able to throw in motion. And I feel like that even got him just so much more comfortable than just having to sit in the pocket all game long. I think that played a big factor. So we're hoping to see that confidence kind of build there. But I think the keys to victory here, you have to make sure Jared Goff is uncomfortable if you're Indy's defense, because he's a guy, if you get comfortable, we've seen him have how many perfect games at this point with Detroit. Right. If you allow him to just get in the motion and take the easy one, go and go and go, he will. Like he's not scared to just eat you slowly instead of having to make this full course meal. Like he's a guy that is willing to just take it slowly but surely. And this Colts defense has struggled against that style of quarterback. So Gus Bradley, the last couple of weeks, he's drastically increased his blitz rate. He's drastically increased the variety of his coverage systems. He's gotten a little bit weird. Like I've been saying to people that he reminds me of like that hip uncle that you're seeing at like Thanksgiving, that like he just wants to tell you all these new things he's learning online. Like that's been Gus Bradley this year. It really has. Like I feel like that, like this last month, that Gus Bradley just all of a sudden has just adjusted what he's been doing, and it's worked. Like this Colts defense has looked drastically improved, and I think that's got to show this week. Like I feel like we need to see him be a new shell of himself. Like he's going to have to get creative. He's going to have to make changes, because if you don't get Jared Goff uncomfortable early, this game can get out of hand.
And kind of that goes perfectly into what I was about to ask you, Dustin. When you look at Gus Bradley, like you said, it's been kind of all over the place. There has been some weird looks. What do you think when he looks at Jared Goff, when you want to stop him outside of getting to him? They got to stop Amon-Ra St. Brown. What are Colts fans expecting to happen with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and how do you think Gus Bradley is going to game plan for Amon-Ra?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting year. I mean, I think all offseason, all preseason, all training camp, it was just a talk about how young this secondary was and not knowing what it was going to look like. Obviously, entering the year, there was a lot of thoughts about Juju Brents and Jalen Jones being the starters day one. Juju Brents gets hurt early in the season, so now they had to adjust and pivot, and the starting corners for the majority of the season, outside of Kenny Moore in the slot, who's just one of the best slots in the NFL, it has been Jalen Jones, that 2023 7th-round pick, and then a waiver wire pickup from the 49ers in Samuel Womack III. And they've outplayed their expectation by a mile. Like these kids play hard. These kids have made life hard for a lot of receivers, and a lot of number one receivers. I mean, outside of the Justin Jefferson performance with the Vikings, like they've been able to maintain the top receiver on these teams at a pretty good rate. Devontae Adams had some fourth quarter stuff that kind of made his stats look a little bit better at the end, but for the majority of that game, he was held in check. The Dolphins game, they didn't have Tua that game, so that obviously puts some clouded stuff on that. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both only have one catch in that game, combined for about 20 yards. So they've found a way to slow down receivers in that sense. Now, the Jared Goff and Mon St. Brown combo might be one of the best they play this season. It's probably right up there with Nico Collins and CJ Stroud. So it'll be really interesting to kind of see what they do. And I know they like to use Mon St. Brown in multiple different ways. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these corners get matched up there.
Hey, Destin, you're an Indy guy, and I got to ask you about the Pat McAfee, Zaire Franklin beef we got going on.
It's interesting.
You got Pat going out there and saying fucking Lions by 20. Put the line at the 20.5. What do you think the McAfee influence has kind of been on this locker room? It seems like they're getting motivated from it. Do you think these guys are using it as motivate? What do you think of that whole situation there with Zaire? I know they have guys calling out people in the locker room like Kenny Moore saying guys aren't working hard. What are your thoughts on the whole narrative there?
So, I mean, you're going to hate my answer because it's going to sound like political playing Switzerland, but this is what I've said all day and just my personal belief on this. The Zaire Franklin comments with EJ Speed, if you watch the podcast, you see everything he's talking about. It was basically just going to bat for your quarterback. To me, right. I really didn't see any issue with it. And I'm pretty pro this new wave of current athletes having podcasts to be able to tell and show their own narratives and not allow other people to write them for them. So I'm pretty pro that. Now I know some people have different opinions on it and get all up in odds about Franklin and Speed's podcast, about Paul George's podcast in the NBA. There's so many people that have different vibes about that stuff, but personally I'm pro it. And then the McAfee stuff, Franklin doesn't talk about McAfee directly. He did use him as the thumbnail, which I probably made it worse for the podcast. Good marketing. Hey, I mean, we all knew who he was talking about even though he didn't say it. So putting it there isn't that big of a deal. But all I do know is Pat McAfee goes on, says what he says, puts the stats up from Zaire Franklin's college stuff.
Disrespectful.
Some crazy stuff. But I mean, I think Pat even alluded to it a little bit when he was talking about it. He's like, if that locker room's using me as motivation. So when he says the Lions by 20.5, I almost feel like he was probably fueling that part of it.
Right.
I think both sides had reasons to take the shots that they did. I don't think it's as big of a deal as everyone else does. I mean, Pat McAfee's a season ticket holder, has a suite right behind the end zone. He's going to be there the next home game, still rooting on the Colts. That's not going to change. Zaire Franklin, leading the NFL in tackles, is still going to be doing what he does. So I really do not think it is as big of a deal as people do. I think it's two very outspoken individuals speaking on a topic that they happened to be on opposite sides of about a month ago when the binging happened. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal going forward, but it's been a fun day for sure.
Hey, Destin, I want to have double part question. Are you an Indiana fan? Hoosiers?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
oh my God.
Let's talk about it. I just want to know.
10-0, Hoosiers by a million.
Let's go.
Hoosiers by a million
I hate
tomorrow at noon.
We're all Michigan fans, but we've got an Ohio State guy.
Michigan. Jeff doesn't claim Michigan, but he lives in Michigan. Booner, big Michigan
Go
guy.
Blue,
I'm an Ohio
baby.
State fan, okay? I live in Toledo. Let's just have a real talk, okay? Penn State poses more of a threat to Ohio State than Indiana does. Can we not both admit that?
Oh, he ain't gonna admit that. No way.
Here's the thing. You can say that. But
you, baby.
I mean, when you watch Penn State, in any game that they've been this season, take out the Ohio State loss. When you watch Penn State, do you ever just sit there oh man, this is an exciting brand of football? No, you don't. You probably don't even smile while watching Penn State this year, unless you're watching Tyler Warren stats and highlights only. When you watch Indiana, it doesn't matter who they I understand you can go on and on about who they've played, but every single game they've played in, there's just been moments where you're on the edge of your seat because of how exciting that brand of football is. I'm an IU fan. You can take that as you want to take it when I say it, but I truly believe Ohio State is more worried about this game than they were worried about Penn State. I do. I feel it. And we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow at noon. We'll see what happens tomorrow at noon. Hoosiers by 1 million, but I'll take by 1 too if that's what it needs to be.
Let's go. Hey, Destin, I'm on your side. Hey, I'm on IU side. Ohio State, I hope they lose by 1 million tomorrow. I'm with you.
Hey, Destin, I need your score prediction here. Score prediction. But not for.
I assume we were going back to the Colts Lions.
Yes.
That prediction won't be by 1 million. I hate being asked score predictions. That's not a shot at you guys. It's a shot at just the question overall.
I get it.
One of my least favorite, but I'll say. I think the Lions are the better team. At the end of the day, I don't think this will be a blowout like we've seen the last.
Do you think they covered the 7.5? You can answer that way. You think they covered the 7.5?
I think what I will be saying is 27-21. Okay. So I have them covering it. And like I said, I hate score predictions, and having to do it on the spot, always a fun one. But I think 27 is around what I could expect them giving up in this game. If it gets much more than that, that'll be when I'm a little bit worried about covering. But I think this Colts offense found, like I said a lot earlier, I think they found out a lot about themselves this past week. So I'm really excited to see what Shane Steichen's game plan with that is now. Because last week you go into it with that new run-heavy scheme, and you don't really know how it's going to go. You see Richardson have his career day in that type of scheme now. So I'm really excited to see what game 2 of that looks like. Hopefully it's more of what we saw last week, if not better, because taking a step back at this point of the season with everything that's been going on in Indy will be a long week for everybody involved.
Yeah, I'm we're fired up about this game. I'm a little nervous. I see a lot of people are kind of hammering the plus 7.5, so they think it'll be a little closer. I'm curious, but Destin,
Pat McAfee definitely hammered it. He hit the 7.5 plus some.
Yeah, he could probably move the line with that man's net worth. Great job today, Destin. You keep up the great work, my friend. Appreciate you joining the show as always. It's always fun to get to talk to other beat writers, but you guys can follow him, Destin Adams on X. And Destin, good luck this weekend, my friend.
Yep. Appreciate everybody. Follow me for any Colts coverage, any draft coverage. Make sure you're following me. And of course, before I go, Hoosiers by 1 million.
There you go.
I love that.
Destin Adams joining the show. That Hoosiers, I didn't expect Klotz. He didn't want to get in that deep.
Legend.
Klotz didn't want to get in that deep.
I didn't want to get too heated with the guys.
You got a little
Hey, I'm with Destin on this though. Give me the Hoosiers. I have my bet, so I'm gonna wait on that.
I will say I don't think Ohio State blows them out, but Ohio State wins.
This is gonna be their toughest game since Michigan.
You got to be a little concerned. Just
don't forget that they went into Eugene.
This will be their toughest game since Michigan.
You got to be a little.
Oh my god. Not a chance.
Indiana's been they're big. I can't remember the stat. I saw a stat on Twitter. It was like big play percentage or something. Like they're like even better than Ohio's. They've like they're a fun team to watch. And Ohio State versus Northwestern in Chicago, dude. They were down 7-0. I know it ended up being a little bit of a blowout, but hey, there was times where it was like almost every game this year in the first half. I'm texting you like, hey, Klotzy. Man, Unk's doing it. We're texting you like at halftime, like
because I know
you can't have that at halftime versus Indiana. This is a real team.
And this is why, and this has been I've been hearing all week on social media. The big plays, like I understand that, but then you go and you look at Ohio State's defense. What is their strength? Their safeties and corners. Okay, then you look up front. That's what I'm saying. Like, and there's not even like that. They're 5-star guys. They're the number 1 safety in college football, and Jalen Downs. Like, what are we talking? Or
didn't an All-American center just like tear his ACL or his Achilles or something like 2 days ago?
Yeah, you're without some O linemen.
Things are happening, dude.
Their offensive line.
Their best offensive lineman tore his Achilles.
They ran the ball all over Penn State and that front seven. Like The local recruits from Indiana can put up a fight,
Right.
but there's only so many times where even a true freshman at Ohio State is going to have some success there.
30. Let's just end that. Let's have the conversation later.
I can't wait.
We got things to get to. By the way, boys, I went and bought coffee for tonight. I need a pick me up. Like, look, they gave me the biggest coffee in the world, dude. And it's like I'm over here drinking like 100 ounces of just black coffee.
Is it cold brew or just black coffee?
It's cold brew. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
just straight black though.
Yeah. I don't hate that. I'm a black coffee guy, especially.
I like cold black coffee. I don't like hot black coffee, but cold black coffee. Oh, I love it.
You know what I don't like? People
doubting
the Lions. And it's not about doubting. Like I know this country has lost a lot of its back and forth. No, I'm serious.
I'm interested to see where this is playing.
No, I'm serious. This country,
man started getting political. We're like, all right, turn off Fox.
No, I'm just being honest. I think because honestly, I am all for different opinions. I appreciate different opinions. I like having conversations with people like a normal human being. And first things first, even though the take was terrible, it was so bad. If you guys haven't seen it, it was on our social media. You can go watch it on Twitter. Chris Broussard and Nick Wright. And again, it's not about giving Nick Wright. It's really, I want to have a conversation about it because I do think they brought up interesting points. I want to counter those points, obviously, but it did spark in my mind, like this could be a good conversation. This is the graphic they put up on their show. And you see it. Most offensive points per game last 25 years. They were having a conversation about, is this Lions offense, are they up there historically? They all obviously disagreed. And I'll get into that in a second. But just this graphic alone was interesting. By the way, this is first things first graphic. We didn't make this. Obviously, it's a pretty nice graphic. Most offensive points per game last 25 years. They went through the 2013 Broncos, 35.7 points per game, lost in the Super Bowl. 2007 Patriots, 33.3 points per game, lost in the Super Bowl. 2018 Chiefs, 33.1 points per game, lost in the AFC Championship game. The 2011 Saints, 32.4 points per game, lost in the divisional round. Than the Lions. So I do think like when you can, let's be real, guys, you can basically frame, a lot of stats and narratives kind of how you want. It's really true. You could frame it a lot of different ways. I mean, I do believe that is true, but there are some you have to really think about. This one was interesting, but here's why you need more context to this. I do. There's more context. It even says in the graphic, it excludes special teams, excludes defense. Like in the thing that frustrates me is, and we'll get to the defense in a little bit here, because the pass rush and stuff like that, because it's obviously a complete team game. This Lions offense is absolutely in a historic offense. I know Chris Broussard brought up, well, what Hall of Famers do they have? Offensive tackle. Penei Sewell is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he keeps up this production for a decade, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, especially with the catches, he'll be up there all time in catches, receptions. Yep. His catch percentage is 83.3%. Like, he'll be in a historic class if he does this consistently. I don't know. Jahmyr Gibbs, you guys would probably say he definitely could be. I don't know. I've probably seen
the potential too.
Yeah, potential. He has the skill set. Absolutely, I would give you that. But that's two guys that I believe could be in the Hall of Fame just on this offense. So, because that was one point they said, I want to counter that. Like, they don't really have any. These guys all had all-time quarterbacks that won Super Bowls. Like, they brought up another graphic, and it was all-time quarterbacks. Jared Goff, and this is the next thing, and you guys can give your full thoughts. This is the next graphic, and it ties into the quarterback thing. Because this, in here, and this is the most points per game in the Super Bowl era. They put this up. And everyone on the left, pretty much all-time quarterback, right? Like, we could all probably agree with that. I mean, you have, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. And then on the left, it's, it's old 2011 Saints, obviously, but I'll give it. And Falcons would be like
Randall
Matt Ryan.
Cunningham.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Doug
Randall
Williams, don't sleep. Matt Ryan.
Very fine quarterback, but Matt Ryan's up there. And Matt Ryan threw a 28-3 Super Bowl lead, or the defense, or whatever, both. They are absolutely, guys, this offense, they are the best offense in the league. They are an historic offense. And they are an offense that right now in the NFL, they can beat you. And this is why I think that separates them. They can beat you in so many different ways. Like, I went back and looked at other historical offenses, and you don't find too many offenses, guys, that are as complete as this Lions one. Like, I'm talking quarterback, offensive line, best all-line in the league, best running back duo in the league. Like, it's not just Jared Goff slinging the ball around. Like, it is a complete offense, even the offense Jared was a part of with the Rams, and I know ETN could probably speak more to this, like Todd Gurley, exceptional. They had weapons. You had Sean McVay. They didn't have the O-line this team has. They did not have the O-line. They had Whitworth still, who was very good, but they didn't have a complete offensive line. I'm talking Pro Bowler, All-Pro, all across their O-line, pretty much, except for Graham, I guess, and Taylor Decker. I think Taylor might have made a Pro Bowl. I'm not sure. Before. But that's my point. I think this offense, guys, is more than capable by itself.
Yes.
I just want your thoughts on the offense of winning a Super Bowl. They could beat you in so many different ways, anywhere, in any place.
I think, like, and this is just my thought process on it, guys, and like, I'm sure you guys agree with me. And Jeff, what you said at kind of the start of this whole thing is you can cherry pick stats all the time, and I've been pretty big on that over the last 6 months through this Detroit Lions run and off season. Is that there are a lot of people who like to cherry pick stats and say, oh, this is why the Lions won't do it. This is that. This is it. And like, I'll say this with Chris Broussard and Nick Wright over the last couple of weeks. This is the first things first show. I'm with you, Jeff, on the side to where everyone does deserve their own opinion. You're allowed to say whatever you want, like, especially in the media. Go ahead. But there is a sense of, all right, you could say what you want. I will lose respect, and I will not, not for you, but I will lose complete respect for some people's opinions. And I've watched Nick Wright, Jeff. I know you've watched Nick Wright. I know Klotz probably has, and we've watched him a lot. After the last week, and I don't think this is more so just as a biased personal level with the Detroit Lions, it's very obvious that a guy like Nick Wright and Chris Broussard, what they've done over the last 7 days with the Detroit Lions being like, we know people are going to click. People like us are going to talk about it. People in Detroit, it's going to move the needle. What I don't like about it is I guess they're not making things up, but gaslighting, being like, oh, the Lions are actually bad. And making it seem like, hey, this team's not going to win a Super Bowl because Jared Goff's not good enough, or you need a Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl, or even if you have a historic offense, you need, like, why is there the cherry picking on that set of things? You know, you guys see what I'm saying with that? And that's what I don't like with the Nick Wright and the Chris Broussard thing. Not just today's segment, but the Jared Goff segment with Nick Wright a couple days ago, saying that he's a civilian at quarterback. Like, okay, now like, I don't care if you do clickbait stuff with the Detroit Lions. Like, I think that's fine. It's good. National media is talking about the team. They're talking about Detroit. They're talking about the Lions. Let's just keep it, like, honest, though. And that's where it goes to me a little bit, to where it's like, Jared Goff is not a civilian at quarterback. He is good. Right? Like, that's just a blatant lie.
Yeah, civilian is like Jimmy G with the 49ers to me.
Yes, like, you're just trying to get blatant clicks. Like, what he's done the last 2 years is at a different level. Like, historically, even the last 5 or 6 weeks, historic level. He is in the MVP conversation. And then today with Chris Broussard, it's like, you're now at this point, it's obvious you're just trying to find and just cherry pick because you know you're going to get the clicks out of it. So you're going to try and cherry pick stats and cherry pick everything you can to find stats that go against the Lions, that do this, that do that. Guys, this is one of the best offenses. And yeah, they're at 33.6 points per game or something. They're not into that top 10 yet. By the end of the year, they will be number one. And even if they aren't, Jeff, to your point, like, take away stats and take all of that away. When you just look at the pure roster offensively and the depth of this team with Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Khalif, Tim Patrick, Allen Robinson, and then you go to the tight end room. You have Sam Laporta, first or second team All-Pro tight end in his second year. And then obviously, I'm not saying Brock Wright's on a different level. You saw the 49ers, what they offered him. Obviously, they think he's good enough, and he comes back. You see the two running backs that you have, Jared Goff, the offensive line you have. Like, historically, depth-wise, or just looking at the roster, this, with the weapons and the players that you have, this is one of the best offenses that you'll see in the NFL in the Super Bowl era. Like, when all said and done, Chris Broussard saying they have no Hall of Famers, guys, like, they're going to have, especially if they go win a Super Bowl this year, multiple Hall of Famers. If Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl with Detroit, and he stays here and they keep winning games, guess what? He might not be first ballot, but I'll guarantee you, some of the guys that get into the Hall of Fame in the NFL now, I guarantee you Jared Goff will be considered. And at some point of his career, whether he's 80 or 70, he will have a yellow jacket. Like, it's going to happen, especially if you win a Super Bowl in Detroit. So for me, it's just like that. All of this is just like you're speaking garbage. There's a reason. First things first can't compete with the ESPNs and the Pat Matt. It's spitting garbage out there. That's what it is. And it's like we can make things up on different. We could do that if we want to get clicks. Like, we could come with those. Like, what are we doing here, guy? I think it's unbelievable, to be honest, at this point. Like, to discredit a team that has done what they've done over the last 2 seasons, Jared Goff especially, and this offense, like take a step back and look at what you guys are talking about. Like, this team, like against Andrew Jones, Nick Wright literally had the Bears going to the Super Bowl this year. Like, let's make smart takes. I'm done watching Nick Wright, by the way. I'm out. I'm officially out. Never again. He'll be shut off every time. But it's not just because of this Detroit stuff. I just like people who it's like, don't make takes based off how many clicks you'll get. Believe in what you're talking about. Because there is no chance in this world Nick Wright actually believed that the Chicago Bears would go to the Super Bowl this year. There is no way. No way. He looked at it and said, what would give me the most clicks? The Bears. He went into this week and said, what's going to get me the most clicks? Who just threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns? Let me go the opposite of what everyone's saying just to do it. Do I really believe it? Probably not, but he'll do it. So I'm out. I'm out on Nick Wright. And it has nothing to do with the Detroit Lions. It has to do with just trying to get clicks so you can make yourself higher up on the totem pole. What do you say, Jeff, all the time? He's going to be the face of Fox Sports or whatever channel he's on.
The face.
He'll be the face, all right. The man's. Have you ever
will.
seen the man's? No, I'm not getting personal. Don't get personal. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not getting personal. I felt like I got personal. I'm sorry.
You had a good vent. You need it. You need to get off your chest. But kind of just go more to like actually picking apart the stats. I don't know, Jeff, are you able to pull it back up? Like,
Klotzy. I like when Klotzy, you like looking at
because it's just like,
which one do you want? Do you want the one with the all-time
you
quarterback?
Can do the one that they created and then do the top 10 where it had like the Vikings, okay. Like do them in the order that you had.
While he pulls those up, Klotz, do you guys really believe like these stat, like when he pulls these stats up and it's like none of this matters. None of it.
I mean, it doesn't, because like especially when like they're very out of context. Like it's easy to point, go like, hey, that makes sense. But if you like break it down a little bit more, like,
all right, I'm gonna pull up the I'll do the top like 10 1 second.
Okay, yeah, because we can just because I'm sure all three. I think they're all up there regardless.
So when you look here's the first one.
So when you look at the Lions, okay. Think about the offensive line strength. The Saints, when they had Drew Brees, that was the weakness of their team. Their best offensive lineman was a guard in Jari Evans. He was good, like he made a lot of Pro Bowls. But Kevin Zeitler right now is probably better than Jari Evans then. We talked about it yesterday, Jeff, with the Chiefs. Like at that point, their weakness was their offensive line. Same thing with Peyton Manning in 2013, especially the way that he could move. It became a huge weakness, and we're not getting into the defensive side of the ball yet. But those are completely different stories. And same thing with the 07 Patriots, where they had playmakers everywhere, but their offensive line was not the strength of their team. They didn't have a premier running back. The 2011 Saints leading rusher was Darren Sproles with 600 yards, and second was a Tiffin Dragon, Go Gons, by the name of Chris Ivory, who I think had like 200 yards on the season. So when you look at all of these teams and you just want to say the numbers, like that's fine, but the offensive line is completely different. Penei Sewell right now is better than any of the linemen that have been on these teams at all. Like he's the best one. You can even say the same thing about Frank Ragnow. So if they're losing in the Super Bowl, losing in the AFC round, like in the playoffs, that's not going to happen because of the offensive line that they have, and especially the offensive coordinator. Like when you look at a lot of these teams, like I'm trying to think I can't remember who the Broncos were, but you can say Sean Payton, Andy Reid, but like look at what they're doing right now. Like Andy Reid, Sean Payton, they won Super Bowls. Both those guys won Super Bowls.
That was Adam Gase, by the way, 2013.
With the Broncos. So there you go. Yeah. Like it's not Ben Johnson. And then Bill Belichick, that was just a Josh McDaniels. Even if he wasn't there, that's a defensive team. So that's where the mind's coming from. And then if you want to pull up the next one, Jeff, because just why I'm saying, like, if there's an offense that you could compare this team to, and it sounds like, oh, this is crazy to say, but out of all those top 10 offenses, it's kind of scary, similar to the greatest show on turf with the Rams. Because if you think about it, Kurt Warner, career thrown away, was playing in the CFL. He got picked up and he won a Super Bowl. Jared Goff got traded from the Rams. If you look at their offensive line, they had a really good offensive line. Orlando Pace, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best tackles in NFL history. And the only difference is they had Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, probably the two most underrated wide receivers in NFL history. So the Lions don't have the wide receiver duo that they have. Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown are very, like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all-pro. Jamison Williams, very good. But you look at the running back duo, Marshall Faulk, very good, just like Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Marshall Faulk by himself doesn't touch Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery production-wise. So when you look at these offenses, Like the Vikings with Randy Moss and Chris Carter, like they're not built like this team was. Doug Williams was playing a completely different time. He was handing the ball off to John Riggins. Like this, if you could compare him to any offense, it would be the 2000 Rams. And what did they do? Win a Super Bowl. So that's why I think this team is on pace to go to win a Super Bowl.
I mean, excellent work, Klotz. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
work.
I mean, I'm with Klotz. I think you have to take everything into account. Like the context all there. Like Dan Campbell is the head coach.
Yeah.
Like Ben Johnson, AG. Like you have an elite. It's not like you could probably look at some of these other teams that might not have won the Super Bowl. And it's like put Dan Quinn, and I guess they had a pretty good staff.
Because Kyle Shanahan. But
so
they didn't have as complete of an offense. They had Hall of Fame, and this is what they brought up too. Like, they had Julio. Julio Jones is one of my favorite receivers. Like, I'm not going to try and diss him, but like, you're acting like the Lions, like skill position players
have no one.
Like they got all pro tight end, all pro receiver, and JMO, who doesn't have the accolades, but like how talented he is. I mean, the dude's immensely talented. And even you guys like Tim Patrick, who could probably be wide receiver 2 on like contending teams. He's like, he's just a wide receiver 3. Like he's just he's
like in Baltimore, there. he would be taking Rashad Bateman's place.
Yeah, absolutely. And the offensive line, which you guys hammered, which is true. And even the defensive line. And we didn't get to this graphic, but look at the pressure rate. I mean, they're up there. I mean, look at the guys, look at the teams that are around right now. And I know we'll talk about pressures in a second, but it is, I mean, when you measure defensive lines, Broncos, their defense is probably one of the best defenses right now in the National Football League. They obviously 227 pressures. Yeah, like they're doing great. Baltimore, very good defensive line, 214. The Texans, a great defensive line. Lions don't have Will Anderson Jr. or Danielle Hunter because Aiden Hutchinson's hurt, of course. But look at the guys, they're getting pressure. And now with Za'Darius, I think they factor in his pressures. So now they're with Za'Darius Smith on paper and statistically with the pressure rate, they're getting to quarterbacks. Now, like sacks are the ultimate goal, but guys, they're getting there. They have a capable defensive line. And we haven't even talked about the 2 top 5 safeties in the NFL, top 3 safeties, top 4 safeties, wherever you want to put them. So their defense is even on par to do something special too. It's not like their defense is like a liability, it's not that anymore.
I know we're going into defense here. I just want to throw this out there too because I thought of it just last second. The Lions, and I want to know, do you guys think if you look at the most 50 points scored in a season, 50-point games, Detroit Lions are at 2 right now. The record's 3. Like, and they have 7 games left. Like, I don't think there's a world where it's like that's crazy. This offense is
they're a historical offense. There's no you can't say they're not. They are
having these segments about like going at that's crazy to me because they could put 50 up on Indy on Sunday and then they're tying the record and in the last 6 games they need 1 more and they could easily do it versus a team. All right, I'm sorry, but like defensively, I'm with you, Jeff. Like, on the opposite side of the ball, you could say offense is that elite. Defensively, it's like they're still like, let's look top to bottom. Like we could look at coaching staff, the offense, the defense, the special teams, and like defensively, they're at that level still. I know you could probably say like a lot of these pressures are due to Aiden Hutchinson still, but even since he's been gone, like you've seen guys step up, and like that's what I'm interested to see Sunday. And Jeff, I was talking to you off air on this a little bit. Like since the trade deadline, we haven't really seen a big time team yet. Maybe the Houston Texans, but they were missing like not full offense with no Stephon Diggs, and you're able to stop them. I'm interested to see as we get more into the season, these pressures, the defense, like is Za'Darius Smith going to be the answer? Like, are other guys going to continue to step up? Because as the season goes on, like once you like the first couple of games with a new guy and without Hutch, it's all right. We know what it can be. All right, what is it? Game 6 without Aiden Hutchinson and with Za'Darius Smith. What is it? Game 10 when we get to the playoffs? What is it going to be like? Like, how is that going to progress? That's my thing with the defense. But like, and they're still playing at an elite level. But you could still look at it and be, all right, how is that going to work out? That's just the only thought I can kind of bring up on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't have too much to add on top of it. I just think they keep balancing and playing complementary football like they have been. They'll be just fine. That's another thing where it's like, don't look at statistics because Zach Allen was the cover of that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
We're taking that for a grain of salt.
Hey, come on.
Let's say, it's a great point. and the Aiden Hutchinson pressures factored into it. Okay, let's take Aiden Hutchinson and his pressures off this team. Okay, and obviously you downgrade. They have enough, in my opinion, on the defensive line. You need Josh Paschal to keep taking steps forward. I think he's kind of the X factor. Not that he'll turn into like, I'm not asking him to be Za'Darius, but if he could just keep getting better and be like someone that, in a big game could make a couple plays. Like I think that's fine. They have 2 very good defensive tackles. Za'Darius is very good. They, front 7 collectively is really good. And then their back end, specifically at safety, they're excellent. I think you're going to find out in a big game what really matters. And I think that answer is going to be this offense. You can lean on them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it depends who they face. But like, I believe that much in this offense that even in a big game, like they can get you out of like, let's say it is a high scoring Super Bowl. I would still feel like if this defense was, let's just say, getting torched, I would be like, okay, you still have the best offense in the league. Like I wouldn't be, I've changed my tune on that with how well this offense keeps playing. Like, unless they just crap the bed, which I just don't see it happening. Like, I think them crapping the bed would still be like 24 points. Like, I don't see them ever like 10 points, 14 points in a game. I don't see it. I don't. And I know a lot of teams, that's like a real thing. Like the Chiefs have been winning these games like 17 to 16 or whatever the score is. I don't see the Lions like having that type of game. I just don't. Even in a big game against the Chiefs, like I still think they'll hang in there. I do.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, after I know with the first 3 weeks, the offense was still kind of getting going, and Dan even said in the press conference, he was like, "It's going to take us a little bit with Jambo being the wide receiver 2, different changes with Zeitler." After week 3, like 42 points, 47, 31, 52, 24, 26, 52, and they haven't slowed down at all. So I'm with you on that, Jeff. And I'll say this: had a conversation with the friend today,
a fellow friend,
talking about the defense. And what was brought up defensively, all right, if there is a weakness to this football team, like let's put it out there, right? And you guys know me, I drink the Kool-Aid, slappy. If there was a weakness that was to bite you in the butt at some point, defensively, is it comfortable to say it's the defensive line when it comes down to it? The secondary's been good. The corners have started to getting better. Linebackers are good. Obviously, maybe it's injury that bites you in the butt.
It's everybody, though.
I was like, my friend said, hey, look at the game last night with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Those are 2 game changers, right? You didn't go out and acquire a big-time player like that, but you went in Za'Darius Smith. Klotz, this was a conversation you and I had a lot on the show, was there's that tier 1 and then the next tier. And you said if you get tier 1, and you told me this, Klotz, I'm just going based off with the conversations we've had, is that tier 1, you're guaranteed like we're going to win a Super Bowl. And then tier 2, which was Za'Darius Smith, there was still that question where it was like, versus good teams in the playoffs, are they going to be able to go out there and do that? And when I had this conversation, my thing was, as I brought up, since all of this has happened, we have played the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now the Indianapolis Colts. So we haven't been able to see it versus like, we'll see it versus the Buffalo Bills, versus the 49ers, versus Green Bay. Like we just missed out on seeing it versus Green Bay. I'm interested to see, and I want to see this defensive line, and number 1, stay healthy, because we know, Jeff, you brought up Josh Paschal, like there's injuries here and there, like stay healthy. And then 2, I don't want to see it versus Jags, Titans, Colts. Like I want to be able to feel comfortable going into the postseason versus the Bills, or I want to see it versus the Bills, versus the Packers, the Fort. Like I want to see it through those teams to where when we do get to the playoffs, all right, I'm more comfortable. And maybe, hey, I've been someone to say I'm guaranteed the Super Bowl all along. Spin zone, though. Just want to know, hey, if there was something to bite us in the butt, what do they need to figure out? Is this something that, hey, we want to see versus a good team? I think it's a fair conversation to have.
I think it's fair. I do.
No.
I would say, Klotz, I would say it's very simple. If you're asking Za'Darius to be Superman, you're already done.
It's a tough spot. And you're asking those guys to stay healthy.
You need a Liam to again be a Liam, the pass rusher that we hope him to be, and you need Josh to keep taking steps forward to help Za'Darius. I think collectively they have enough, but if you're looking at Za'Darius like, please be prime Za'Darius or like 26-year-old Za'Darius, they're screwed. Yeah. Like you can't do that. That's my take on it.
You got to hope they pull it all together, because honestly, like, I think you could have gotten a look at it with the way that C.J. Stroud, like you play C.J. Stroud in Houston, but C.J. Stroud's going through a sophomore slump right now, and he's still a good quarterback, but he's not the Josh Allens or the ones that you need to go win a Super Bowl. I still think that the Detroit Lions, the way that they complement each other, the way that the Lions still are bend or not breaking, have a very good chance of winning the Super Bowl. But when you just look at it, it is very concerning. I think just the one thing that just gives me hope is when the Chiefs won a Super Bowl, when they had the lackluster defense that they did. They had Tyrann Mathieu, and if you look at Tyrann Mathieu and Brian Branch, they're clones of each other. The thing that does make me go like, oh, we don't got a Chris Jones. But if that defensive line can equal Chris Jones, and even like Frank Clark was on the edge, and he wasn't like anything, but I think Zadarius Smith, from a game basis, like if you say, hey, we're playing Matthew Stafford, and we had Aiden Hutchinson, we played Matthew Stafford, but I think if the Lions play the Rams for one game, equal Frank Clark, DJ Reader, Josh Pascal, Aleem McNeil, you got to equal Chris Jones. So it does give me hope, especially because Steve Spagnuolo had that defense playing above their level, especially because at that point they're a little bit younger. And I think Aaron Glenn can do the same thing and just top to bottom, like you guys said, the assistants in Allen Park right now, like they're the best of the best. So I'm not like overly concerned, but like I said, I think at some point, and I hope it's not in the Super Bowl, I hope it's like against the Bills or the 49ers, you will see that weakness show up, but I do think that they'll find a way to kind of overcompensate and correct it if they have enough time later down the year. I just hope it doesn't happen in the Super Bowl. That's my thing. But if once it shows, I think Aaron Glenn will be like, okay, this is how we fix it.
That's my and last thing I have with that's my thing. I'm not saying that the D-line can't do it, because I do think again, I've been on the side of it. I'm just like, all right, I would love to see this D-line with Zadarius. We've only seen one game with Zadarius and all of these guys. I would love to see, shout out the commission, Chris Jones.
We'll get him back, though.
He's basically Chris Jones' twin, man. He plays just like him. No, but I just want to see it, and I think we will see it again. Like, and then by the way, too, I just want to correct myself. We haven't played. It wasn't the Titans, Jags, Colts. Obviously the Houston Texans and the Green Bay. Since we've lost touch, it's been those games, and those are games like since we've lost touch. In Minnesota, we had 4 sacks, which I think is really good. Tennessee 1 sack, Green Bay 0 sacks, Houston 4, and then last week 1. So it's like I would like to see consistency over it, because that is it, and maybe it's just your safety room and your linebackers and your corners that are the reason you're going to stay in these games defensively, as long as you get 75% production from your D-line. So
can I say something, boys? Kind of like a trust circle thing.
Yeah,
sure.
Is it crazy to say that come playoff time, I'm more worried about Terrion Arnold than I'm worried about the edge room?
I called Jeff the other day.
Like that, and it's not even. It's the fact that
had that conversation.
I don't think, because when you look at this Detroit Lions team and you look at just teams that kind of been in their vicinity, I don't think there's been more obvious like target on his back individually as a player, especially as a rookie, than Terrion Arnold. Like I understand, played at Alabama, built for the spotlight, but then when you talk about the offensive coordinators that they're going to see, if there's one thing that concerns me a little bit more since Zadarius Smith has been added, it's Terrion. And it's not even like, oh, Terrion sucks, but Terrion, there's a narrative around him, and I don't think. Like, if there's a way you're going to attack the Lions, you want to put up points on them, you got to throw the ball. It's going to be at Terrion Arnold rather than the guy in Carlton Davis who's won a Super Bowl, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, all pros.
Let's bring in Mike. Let's bring in Mike in here. We got Mike coming in. Hey, shout out. Hey, and then we have. Let's get Mike in here. All right. Hey, Mike.
Gentlemen. Hey, I'm due for a big week. Pick'em's been a little rough the past 2 weeks. Obviously, I've been picking from not on the show. So, hey, I'm locked in. We're going to have a better week. Let's go.
I had a rough week last week. And I'm ready to bounce back. I mean, I'm curious. Who did have a great week? Wait. Come on. Wait. Wait. Who is that? Is that the man who was in last place? That clawed his way out of the trenches.
No.
Big. Wait. Is that Caleb Czarnik? What the fuck is going on?
I hope we didn't set all this up for him to still be in last place overall.
Boone, this is a good This is a good moment. You just ruined it right when I got here.
I gave the man an entrance, dude.
And look, It's been a bad year for me, and I am very happy with the way I turned out last week. I think it might have been my first 500 week all year on the show. Let's build off that. And I would say I'm rooting for good weeks for all the boys, but I need to climb up that ladder. I kind of hope you guys all go Jeff this week. I hope you guys all go 1-for-8.
Hey, Jeff going 1-8 last week was one of the funniest. I'm the one that keep tracks of the record, and I'm Mark. I redid it like 4 times. There's no way he went 1-8. There's no way the man went 1-8.
There's a fucking way.
I thought you went 0-9 at first. I just missed one.
Caleb,
hey, what an entrance!
It happens.
What an entrance!
Look at this, fellas, and I updated it, and you can see it now. I have the last week records above, so we're gonna start doing that. So Caleb was 5-4, Booner was 4-5, Gentry 3-6, Klotz 3-6, and then your boy was 1-8, and it drops me down. It literally dropped me below 500 by 1, which is kind of hey, that's actually not bad. That's why you keep a good record.
That's impressive, Jeff. That's impressive.
I'm under by 1.
Hey, Caleb.
I got Klotzy and Caleb sneaking up on me. This ain't good.
Hey, I got Caleb. You still that Undertaker music hits perfectly. You're still sitting there in the ground, just
yeah. That's
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yes,
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly, Caleb.
And
you're making,
little trust circle
ground.
here. Yeah, little trust circle here. This is a tough board this week. These picks are hard. I don't know if you guys saw it and you guys are like, yeah, I like this.
I have no clue. I haven't. I'm just
are
going
coin
to go off. I'm just going to go off like instinct. Boom, boom, boom. I'm not even going to try and overthink it. I know when there's weeks like this and you start to overthink it and you sit there for a couple of minutes and hours think, that's when you go 1-8 like Jeff, man.
Oh,
can't
have that, Booner. Can't have that.
It's like, you know what? This is why pick 'em fucks with your head. You have to stay level-headed because you have a process. And that process gets you in first place. That process could bump you to third place. You got to stay consistent.
Very quick.
You got to stay consistent. All right.
You got to use your own mind.
Hey, fellas. Who's the king?
We're not doing
who's the king?
You've been the king for 1 week.
This is 2 weeks in a row now. This is 2 weeks.
I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Hey,
you're not even the prince.
One more week, and I've held the hill for the longest out of everyone. Don't let me stay at the top.
Hey, Booner, you get to go first today, too.
I went first last week and still dominated.
Hey,
I got my coffee.
I've went first every time that I've been here to do it. So
Casey,
I'm glad, Booner, I get to follow your lead. Show me the way.
Copy me like Jeff.
Show me the way, Boone.
You know how it feels? It's like when Michigan got Bryce Underwood yesterday. It's like, great, you guys got one too. I'm happy for you. You get your little shine. Booner's getting his little shine right now.
Buddy, you haven't been over 5. We got to get these picks going too, boys. Let's roll. There's a lot of games.
Let's start it. Honestly, I want to go first, not just for the first place. I just don't want this whole I'm copying Booner shit. It's annoying. Let me go first so I can change the narrative. All right.
We don't switch the rules up just because you want to switch the rules up. That's not how this game works.
It's a false narrative.
Sadly, that's not how it works.
So let's not let that slide either. He was about to say, "Let me beat the king and call Booner king." So
it's good.
No, hell. Hell no. I'm not copy Booner. Suck my. Okay, let's start this. All right, let's go. Yeah. You look at the games this week, boys. Fishy lines.
Very fishy.
It's fishy lines. We're gonna start first one in the NFC North. Minnesota Vikings travel to Chicago, coming off a brutal loss. Vikings are favored by 3.5 on the road. Boone, what do you think?
I mean, if anyone, I'm not going to say this. I said it last week. I said last week, if you know ball, you know which way to go. And then the team that I picked lost by 40.
The Saints game?
Yeah. So I'm just going to nice and simple here. I don't trust the Chicago Bears, even if they're. I know I talk about the road or the home dogs. Really don't care. Give me the Minnesota Vikings minus 3.5. I don't trust Matt. I think this might be a game where maybe Matt Eberflus, they lose by 15 at home, and man's out of there. Give me the Vikings.
I'm going to keep it simple. Give me the road dog and the points. Obviously, the Bears have been kind of up and down, wishy-washy.
Wait, who?
I said
Vikings.
Yeah, or give me the dog with the points, rather. That's what I meant. Give me the Bears plus 3.5.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
dog threw me off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'll take the Bears 3.5.
He didn't know what he say. He's overthinking. You can hear it in his voice. Give me the Vikings, plain and simple.
Yeah.
All right, Lucas. All right.
All right, on. All right, on.
Hey, wait, Jeff, you're after Unc, aren't you?
I'm on the screen. So, yeah, I'm after him. All right.
Hey, that's me.
Klotz just jumped you.
I jumped the gun. Getting ahead
No,
of
no.
myself.
Mike's second. I'm third.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
went third.
Yeah, he
Klotz
just went.
just
It's
went.
all
He just
good.
jumped.
It's all good.
We'll go back.
Keep it rolling.
Woosah.
That's
Woosah.
on me.
Hey, ooh, we got a little rivalry.
That finger
here.
out of my face.
Who
All
are you
right.
taking? I'm not taking Bears.
I like the Bears at home here, but here's the thing: Brian Flores against a rookie quarterback, it's a recipe for disaster. That's where I'm leaning with this whole thing. I'm gonna go with the Vikings to cover this. This is a tough one for me, but I just don't see Caleb and Brian Flores. It's gonna be tough with Matt Eberflus.
Way to follow my lead, Jeff. I love it. Follow the King's lead.
You don't shut the fuck up. Go on, Caleb.
Jeez.
Yeah, I saw a Bears fan in the chat earlier kind of talking. Your quarterback sucks. Caleb Williams has been playing terrible this year. Give me Brian Flores against a rookie quarterback. Give me Minnesota on the road -3.5.
All right. Hey.
All right. Next game we got here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to New York to take on the Giants. They're favored at the Bucs 5.5. Tommy DeVito starting. Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy.
This is a tough one. This feels like one of those games, the quarterback, where I say that when the head coach gets fired, you take him. Give me the Bucs. I think there's too many things going on right now in New York. Like players hate the coaches, players hate the front office right now after the Daniel Jones thing. Just give me the Bucs. They've lost 4 straight. I think this is one of those games where it's like they just have a big game on the road.
Yeah, I am also taking the Bucs. Tommy DeVito, he sucks, Jeff. I'm sorry, he sucks. The Bucs are going to bounce back here. They should probably put Drew Lock in instead of Tommy DeVito.
They'll
Give me
never
the Bucs -5.5.
For
Take
sure. Great point.
Can I just say this? Is anyone taking the Giants?
No.
Let's just move on. Bucks for everyone. Yeah.
Klotz, Bucs.
Bucks. Yeah.
Just move on.
You,
Jeff not even standing with
Bucs.
Tommy DeVito. Classic.
Hey, Tommy 300 yards, but the Bucks cover. All right. All right. Next game we got here. Dallas Cowboys travel to Washington, take on the Commanders. Commanders -10.5 at home.
It's a lot of points.
I don't know what to do here, boys, because I took the Dallas Cowboys last week to cover because I was like, there's no way 10.5. You always take the 10.5 in the NFL. I see it like, and this is the thing. The public's on the Commanders. Look at the chat. Commanders. You always fade the public. Give me the Cowboys +10.5.
Jesus. Okay.
I am also going to take the Cowboys +10.5. Actually, I kind of agree with Booner. It is a lot of points. The Cowboys look like shit, but the divisional game, who knows? It's just too many points for me. I'll take the Cowboys +10.5. They are a dumpster fire. Andrew Jones. I get it. But you know what? You got to go with your instinct.
Okay. You know what? This is a last minute change of heart. I was gonna take the Cowboys to cover. Fuck you two.
You don't want to
Give me the
follow us.
Commanders. No. Give me the Commanders.
Come on, Heffer.
Let's do it.
Yeah, smart man, Dan Quinn, Dallas. He knows those offensive players. Jaden Daniels in that offense had 2 back-to-back rough weeks. I think they bounced back against this absolute dumpster fire organization, absolute dumpster fire defense. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, both big days. Terry McLaurin got put in a coffin versus Quinyon Mitchell. He's torching that secondary. Commanders win, and they cover.
It's a coin flip. This is a lot of points. And I think the Cowboys cover that. I think they stay within 10. I don't know what it is. That's a gross pick. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I hate it.
You have a chance. It's not
no.
Caleb. Come
I'll
on.
take Dallas. All
right. Yep. All right. Next one.
I just took Cooper Rush. That's not chicken. That takes nuts.
Yeah, you
It
did.
does. It does. It really
Jake
does.
Ferguson's out, too. Jake
All right.
Ferguson's also out.
It's all right. He was out last week too, basically the whole game. We're good.
They might not
Okay.
even score 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say 37-10 last week. I mean, that's all right. Next game. I don't even know if we should do this. Chiefs minus 10.5 at Panthers. Does anyone think the Panthers will cover?
Give me the Chiefs. The Chiefs Panthers have lost 7 games. All 7 losses have been by 10 or more points.
We all agree.
7 losses.
Chiefs. We're taking the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah.
Bounce back performance. Yeah. They're going to get pissed off. All right, everyone agrees there. Next game, Titans at Texans. Texans favored by 7.5. Texans 7.5 against the Titans.
That's crazy. What a number.
Will Levis.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I don't know what to do here. I don't like this. Their losses have been by 7.5.
Roman chiming in, huh? Bryce Young legacy game.
Give me Will Levis plus 7.5. Wait, it's Panthers, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's already done. No, you're right.
It's Titans.
Will
Give me
Levis plus
okay, I was like, whoa. Give me the Titans plus 7.5 versus the Texans.
I'm taking the Texans plus the points. Will Levis. I mean, the Titans' defense is pretty good. Secondary is pretty good. I just think the Texans kind of need this win. Obviously, divisional game, but I think they kind of need a comforting win, and I think they'll get one here.
Nice and comforting. Good comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Titans have been in games. I mean, they are. They've been in a lot of games. But here's the thing. I think the matchup here, Will Levis, he's going to be seeing ghosts. He's, that like the meme of him on his knees after that Bears interception, that you're going to see that once again. So I think the Texans win this game by 10 points. So I'm going to go Texans cover at home.
Yeah, the last time that the Texans and Titans matched up, Tennessee scored 3 points. D'Amico Ryans is going to put Will Levis in a chokehold. Tony Pollard won't be able to run the ball. They usually have Derrick Henry. Yeah, not this time. And I don't know. Like, people were throwing shots at Houston's defense last week, but I thought Houston's defense looked phenomenal. I think they're going to look phenomenal again. So give me the Texans cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans here, but I don't think they're that good. Like, this line is shocking. I don't think they're. Initially I thought this line would be 4.5. 7.5 is pretty crazy, but I'm still going to take Houston here at home. I think Will Levis is going to have some trouble with that D line.
Hey, Unc, who did you take? I'm sorry. I wrote down Tennessee.
I took Texans.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote down the wrong one. That's on me.
It's all good.
All right, next game. Broncos on the road, taking on the Raiders. Broncos favored by 5.5. Broncos 5.5 on the road in Las Vegas.
Give me the Broncos 5.5. This Raiders team, I'm out on them. I'm out. And I like this Broncos team. I think Bo Nix is going to throw all over them. I almost put Bo Nix in my best bets of the week. I don't know why I did it, but I was like, I might just take his over. The man is playing very good ball. Give me the Broncos minus 5.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos too. Obviously, I was probably the biggest hater on Bo Nix coming into the draft, but he's totally proved me wrong. The Broncos are rolling. Their defense looks good too. And like what Boone said, the Raiders are an absolute disaster. They've dropped like 3 or 4 in a row now, so it's not looking good for those guys. I'll take the Broncos.
Yeah, give me the Broncos. They're playing well. Bo Nix is playing well. Sean Payton,
6 in a row.
guy's a magician, and defensively they're amazing. So yeah, they're a good team. Give me the Broncos.
Not overthinking it. Give me the Broncos. I don't love it, but I'll take it. Pause.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos too. They just beat the piss out of Atlanta. They're feeling good. Las Vegas sucks. Give me the Broncos.
All right, next game. This game is going to be good. I like this. 49ers on the road in Green Bay. Green Bay is favored by 5.5 at Lambeau. 5.5 home favorites against 49ers. What do you think, Boone?
Just Packers minus 5.5. Packers. This is the easiest. This might be one of the easiest bets of the weekend. They're going to win by a touchdown. This is a no doubt, no brainer. Green Bay Packers.
I'm going with the Packers as well. Isn't Brock Purdy injured, or isn't he?
Brock Purdy officially out. Nick Bosa out. Both of their best players out. And then you obviously know like they haven't got to have anyone else that can play football, basically.
I'm just surprised the line was that the
it was like 1.5 at first.
Okay.
I went in. I think when we first put it in the prep, it was at like 1 or 2.5. And I went and switched. It was at 5.5 now. I think it just switched within the last couple hours.
Yeah. No Purdy, no Bosa. Give me the Packers minus 5.5. Don't have to say much about it. And this is in Green Bay, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Late November in Green Bay. Give me if Brock Purdy was playing. Even without Nick Bosa, like the last 3 games have been decided by 1 to 3 points. But Brandon Allen, no, give me the Packers. Give me the Packers.
Caleb, do you object? Packers? You going Packers?
Packers minus 5.5. That's what I'm taking.
All right. This got this is basically a pick 'em here. Cardinals on the road on the road visiting the Seattle Seahawks. Cardinals-Seahawks. Cardinals favored by 1.5 on the road.
This is like a matchup for potential this is a big divisional things going on. Give me the Cardinals. It's basically almost a pick 'em like you said, Jeff. Cardinals have won 4 straight games. I could be wrong, and I want to double check here. Cardinals are coming off a bye as well, so I don't care if they're on the road or not. Cardinals coming off a bye. I think this team's going to be ready to go off 4 straight wins. I think this is going to be I think they might win this game by a touchdown, to be honest, on the road. I think the Cardinals are playing. They've won 5 of their last 6 football games. Now they had a bye to get healthy. Give me the Cardinals minus 1.5.
I'll take Seattle at home plus the 1.5. Obviously, they're coming off they squeaked out a win against the 49ers. Hopefully, they keep it rolling. They're slowly offense getting more healthy week by week, even some guys on the defense too. So give me Seattle plus 1.5 at home.
Yeah, this one to me it's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to go Seattle here. I like Seattle at home. They just coming off a big win. I get the Cards, but to me the Cards have won 4 straight, but water's got to find its level, in my opinion. So give me the Seattle Seahawks here.
I'm going with the Cardinals just because if you look at Seattle versus mobile quarterbacks, they get torched. And I think coming off the bye, Kyler Murray, I think Marvin Harrison could have a game, but I think most importantly, James Conner's going to kill these guys and keep that offense for Seattle off the field. So give me the Cardinals on the road to cover.
Yeah, as a team, I love the Cardinals. Their defense has been playing better. They're coming off a bye, but I'm going to take the home dog here. I'm going to take Seattle. They're going to really shake this division up. But if the Seattle wins, Arizona and Seattle are both 6-5. This division is going to get crazy. It's going to be entertaining. I'm gonna take the points with Seattle.
All right. Last game we have here: Philadelphia Eagles traveling to LA, take on the Rams. Rams are at home. Eagles 2.5-point favorites.
Hey, give me the Eagles, baby. I'm not going to say fly, Eagles, fly, but, fly, Eagles, fly. I was big on the Rams, and so someone on the show, I can't remember, it might have been Caleb or Klotz. Someone had pointed out to me, look at the Rams' wins and how they've been they're just beating bad football teams, and then that's what it is. And some games, they're dropping. They're winning, finding ways to win, but Eagles are on a 6-game winning streak, and they just look good. Again, we keep talking about they're the only other threat in the NFC right now to the Lions. Give me the Eagles. It's only 2.5. I think they can win by a field goal. They'll win by a field goal.
Give me Matthew Stafford and the Rams. No Devontae Smith this week for the Eagles. That's obviously going to hurt my fantasy team a little bit. But I think that injury will be a little bit much. I think they'll be relying on Saquon Barkley heavy this game. I don't know how much. I don't think A.J. Brown will be as big of a factor as in past games, even with the Rams secondary being a little sus. I think the Rams pass rush gets to Jalen Hurts, disrupts him a little bit. Give me the Rams.
It's a good one. You know what? I'm gonna go with you, Mike. I'm gonna go with you. I peeped the injury report just to double check. Eagles are banged up. I still think the Eagles are obviously better than the Commanders, but I like the Rams as kind of a sneaky upset here. I do. So I'm gonna go Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rams. I think Kyron Williams has a huge day. He's been quiet lately. He went on a touchdown streak, and now he's been on a touchdown drought. He's going to get that fixed. I think Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are finally both healthy. They're both coming off huge games. So give me the Rams. I think they win at home.
Yeah, I really fucking hate both these teams, so it's going to be hard for me to root for a side. But I'm going to take the Rams. Like I said, I think this NFC West is going to get crazy. If 3 teams leave this weekend 6-5, it's going to get really entertaining down the stretch. So I'm going to take the road dog again. I'm going to take the Rams.
All right, there you go.
Or the home dog. Sorry.
I'll say this too. You guys are on opposite picks on a lot of games with me. One thing I do love. I love fade the public always. Caleb, you're a better and you guys know betting. Public is usually they think they're on the right. They're always wrong. You always fade the public. Every single time I made a pick that was opposite of you guys, the whole chat's like, give me the Rams, give me the Rams. The whole chat. I love where I'm at. I love it.
Well, hold on.
Hold on.
Because
I love to be against the whole chat.
Well, the chat, yes, but the public's on the Cowboys covering, by the way. That's the
public. I'm looking at our chat. My public is our chat. I love our chat. The chat, I love our chat. When I see the chat, that's the public to me.
I watched a podcast earlier this week. They said the wise guys are in on the Cowboys covering.
The Sharks, they call them.
Sharks.
Yeah.
You said the wise guys earlier, and I didn't correct you. You were like, what do they call them? The wise guys? I was in my head, I'm like, I think the Sharps, but I'll let you. Hey, cook, Neff.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But yeah, they you know what? We'll see. I didn't expect everyone to pick the Rams there. I thought I was kind of going to be me and Mike are the only ones.
I'll take the dub on that. All you guys have a loss. I'll take a win on that. There's actually like 3 or 4 games where I'm the only one on a team. I think.
Hey, I'm the only one that took the Bears.
There you go. You are.
Jeff.
Who else?
Jeff. Caleb's disappointed in you. He told me.
What?
Not Caleb, not this Caleb. Caleb Williams.
I'm the only one to take Tennessee.
Yeah, you can die on that hill happily.
Hey, Mike. I was back and forth.
It's all right. Pumped up, man. Don't let me get going.
I can't let my personal narratives. I can't let my personal narratives tie with the picks.
Can you put the standings up one more time?
No.
No, seriously.
Chad already saw him.
Yeah, just one more time, please. Just I please. Thank you.
We deleted the graphic.
Yeah, the graphic's not here.
Go ahead, throw the standings up.
It's in the abyss. It's gone forever.
It's in the Gulag Bones fight.
I would like to put a comment up with the standings. So I just want this very well known. The Booner Path only works for the line. It looks like the Booner Path works for the whole NFL. Super Bowl Cartier.
Man, this is like what it's like. The guy gets first place and he just doesn't know what to do with himself.
Well, I mean, when you were in first place, all you did was talk about it. How you were in first place.
I never did that. Never did that.
Okay, you're one of those guys.
Never did that.
Who did it in the moment and after.
I handle it with.
So you know everything we do on the show. It's recorded. It's in pen. You can't erase it.
You both are being one of those guys right now. The real one who just stood with class and stood up there like he's been there before is Unc. Unc's been there before. And at some point again, he'll be back at the top. He won't be surprised.
Yeah, I
thank you, Lucas.
Don't let me get that one spot after the comeback I'm about to have, though. Let me tell you, I won't shut the fuck up.
I was gonna say if I end up getting up there, you guys won't hear the end of it. I mean, that's
no, and rightfully so, Caleb. If you make that comeback, that's all time.
Standings if we can't be that guy. Like, what's the point?
You can be however you want, Boone.
Yeah, you can be.
Act like you've been there. Act like you've been there.
No, I've been here, and I will keep acting like I have been here, which is a winner. The Booner Path only wins.
Shut up and dribble, Boone.
Well, okay. Jeff would be the one to be like, "Yep," right away.
Yep.
Hey, Booner, I heard you have some bets for us. Do you by chance have some bets for us, Booner?
Yeah, Boone, what do you got on the table? What do you got on the table?
Hey, he's excited.
Hey, Booner. You have any bets?
I do have some bets. Do you want me, or you got it, Jeff? I think I sent it to you. Did I send it to you?
Yep, I'll pull it up right now.
Let's go. I think last week we were 3-2.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4-1 actually last week.
I already see one of them.
I think we were 4-1 last week. Hey, give me on solo here. I want to talk to the people. I don't want to talk to you guys right now. This is between me and the chat. This is between me and the people. The guy that is in first place in the pick'em, the man who went 4-1 last week, who every week we're at least going 3-2, 4-1 every single week. All right. By the way, that is an all-time quote. I can't remember who the guy's name is that everyone says that to, but he is electric. All right. Hold on. Let me drink some coffee real quick. Some grade A coffee, man, if I've ever had some. All right, we've got 5 picks today, boys. Booner's bets. Are we guys ready? Can I hear you guys? We ready?
Let's hear them. I'm ready.
All right. Hey, thanks, Caleb. Thanks for being a dog. First one.
You told us to get off the screen and then ask if we're ready.
Yeah,
Fuck you, I'm not ready. I don't give a shit, Boone.
The voice is from above. The voice is from above. I love to hear the fellas.
I'm just kidding. I care. I'm tapped into it.
All right, thanks, Hug. All right, first one we're going with Colorado at Kansas. Colorado is hitting at like a 7-2 rate or 8-2 rate on the over. I have been chasing, and Caleb knows this. I have been chasing college football overs, and I hit all year on the Navy one. They were 7-1, and then once I started putting them in my best bets, they went 3 straight weeks without getting the over. I don't know if it was. Yeah, Miami was like 7-0 in overs, and then I put them on the best bets, and they were cooked. They never hit an over again on the rest of the year. It's unbelievable. So you know what we're doing this week? Caleb, I'm picking a different team. I'm going over to prime time. I'm going to Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. Give me Colorado at Kansas over 59.5. This is the easiest bet of the week. Second one, Klotzy. This is where I know. And Klotzy, I don't want to hear. I just want you to listen. That's all. I'll tell you what, fellas. You watch spreads move. If you bet Caleb, you guys know. Once the spread starts going one way, you hop on it quick. No diddy. You hop on it quick. Indiana, a day ago in the last 24 hours was plus 13.5. And it moved to 10.5. You know what that means? The sharps, the big money, that's all on Indiana, fellas. We're taking Indiana plus 10.5. Do you see that man right there, Klotzy? Number 9? He's going to live in your nightmares for the next 12 months after you guys lose. And once you lose on Saturday, and once you lose about 12 hours from now or 13, 14 hours from now, you're going to be out of the college football playoffs. You're not going to be in the Big Ten championship game. You're going to have 2 losses, and you're not have a chance to redeem yourself. You're going to be, oh, my gosh, the only team we can beat is Michigan to get in. It's over. Indiana plus 10.5. If you want to sprinkle money line on it, go ahead. But take the 10.5 because I guarantee you this Indiana team, they're electric. The head coach is electric. This team's electric. Hey, they're going to put up a fight. This isn't Northwestern, Klotzy. This is the big leagues, buddy. Just like the Oregon game. Welcome to the big leagues. All right, move on from that. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, Klotzy. I love you. This one's easy, guys. Brian Robinson, too. He's an absolute dog. He was hurt for a little bit. He came back. The 2 weeks he's been back, he's got a touchdown. Before he was hurt, he was getting a touchdown every week. It's about minus 130. It might have moved a little bit, but if you go get it today, I'm sure the most it's moved is to like minus 140, which I know is big, but it was minus 130 when I put this on. So give me a Brian Robinson anytime touchdown, fellas. I think this is the biggest touchdown lock of the week, besides maybe D-Mont, like to where you can actually get some value with money and putting it on there. So give me Brian Robinson anytime touchdown. And then, guys, these are the 2 easy ones. I'll put these on there every single week. Detroit Lions team total, it should not be at 29. It should be at like 35.5 versus the Colts. It's at 29.5. What is that? 4 touchdowns and a field goal. Easy. There's never been an easier bet. And then the last one, Jared Goff over 1.5 touchdowns. He's hit it the last 2 weeks. He's almost hit it every single game this year besides like 2, I think. Give me Jared Goff over 1.5 touchdowns in Indy. Booner's bets.
I like it. What
do we think?
That's Jared Goff. I mean, over 1.5 touchdowns hits like every fucking week.
Every week. Why not just keep throwing money on these free bets? The team total hits every week. Like, why not?
I was about to say, you keep the team total on there every time. You just change it. You just adjust it to whatever it is. That one just stays in that 4 slot every time.
I changed the number and I changed the picture just to keep it a little fresh. But that bet stays.
That's fair.
All right, fellas.
Was there any questions on that? Did anyone want to?
Can I just say one thing?
We're going 5-0.
Yep. Go ahead, Caleb.
Just really, really fast, Klotz. Me and you here, brother. Booner's not here. No one's here. That 10.5. How does Indiana not cover that number? Because I want to be all over it, but as your friend, I don't want to root against your team. Talk me into Ohio State here.
It comes down to this. Who's been there before? Who has a better coach? Who has the better talent? Who's at home? It's just all for Ohio State to be taken. Like, I understand the pressure is there, but this is an Ohio State team who returned everybody, got the number 1 recruit in the nation, and he's playing like he's the best freshman in the fucking country. Do I think this game's going to be 38-3? No, but when I look at this game, I think it's going to be kind of like a 31-17 type of game. Like, I think Indiana hangs in there at the beginning of the game, but at some point, it's just going to be nutrition. It's just going to be a matter of time to Ohio State pulls away. So what happens when they play these type of teams, like even against Penn State, like they were hanging in there. I know it's not a 10.5 point game, but the talent, like there's clear levels there. Even at the quarterback play, You can talk all the shit about Drew Allen that you want. He's still a good quarterback, and he didn't do anything. I think James Franklin is what was holding them back. And you can look at Indiana, great head coach, but he's never went up against a team like Ohio State before. And I just think that Ohio State, they're not going to blow them out, but they're going to win by more than 10.5. Would I be shocked if Indiana covers? No, but I think it's more likely that Ohio State pulls away late and wins by more than 10.5 points.
Okay,
I'm
fair.
not completely confident. I think this is a close game for a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is going to be a good game. Great game. I'm excited for it. Don't know what side I'm going to pick yet, though. I don't know.
Caleb, take Indiana. Put it in tonight before the line moves even smaller.
Well, it is 9:52. Let's give our Lions score predictions, fellas. And I think this game, I don't know about 27-21, but I do think it could be relatively close. I think the Lions still cover. I have this game for the Lions. I think they win this game 30-17. So a little bigger difference than what Destin Adams had. 30-17. Give me the Lions to win. I think they cover, obviously, the spread. And they walk out of there. You're happy with that win. Happy. 30-17.
I'll just go next because it was pretty much identical to mine. I had 31-17. So pretty much for the same reason. I think that Indy, they find a way to get in the end zone a couple of times. I think Alec Pierce has a deep shot or two to set him up in field goal range, scoring range. But they're not going to be hanging around after the third quarter. So give me the Lions 31, Colts 17.
I'm going 35-14. I think the Colts will get in the end zone twice. The Lions will cover Booner's over that he gave out the team total. Lions 35, Colts 14.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go 34-20. The Detroit Lions. I mean, I think they're going to dominate the whole game, but I think it's going to be closer than all the other games have been, like Jacksonville and the Titans. They're not going to beat this team by 40 points, but they're still going to win pretty handedly in a two-possession game. So I'm going to go 34-20.
I mean, Caleb, I wrote this down at the beginning of the show when we started talking it.
Yes, sir.
Detroit Lions 34. Indianapolis Colts 20. I'm spot on with you. I think you look at a couple field goals, 4 or 5 touchdowns in the game. I want to go under 20 because of what the defense has been doing recently. I do think though there's just going to be some plays maybe where AR extends the possession somehow, some way, and they're going to get a touchdown. I think they get 2 touchdowns and a couple field goals, and I think that's how they get to the 20. 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. I would love to honestly be like 34-10. I think 34-10 would be an unbelievable score. But I'll go 34-20 and roll with that. Lions win. You can take the spread -7.5. I think that easily covers no matter what happens. I think they're going to dominate that, and the team total hits over 29.5.
All right, we got a couple questions here from Mailbag. I want to pop these up. Oh, okay. Well, hold up. Let's do this. All right. So here's a couple questions. Shout out Rando Smalls, by the way, became a Crunch member. Get to him. Rando, we appreciate you. Thank you for that. Stevie David, he asked you a question, Gentry. He says, what does Gentry think about Terry Foster's story about Stevie wanting Stamkos, but the owner didn't back him on the fourth year?
Honestly, I didn't actually get to see the video because we're blocked on Twitter. But it's tough because Steve is getting old, or Steven Stamkos rather is getting older up in age. But for the price tag, I think I would have done it. I mean, they were kind of looking down more in the pipeline and thinking of centers that they would have came up. But some of the term that they gave out to like Tarasenko, you could say, and some of the moves they made, offloading Wallman, a few others, you would have expected that would have been enough. You could have dealt with the fourth year. But, I mean, Steven Stamkos kind of struggled to start the year. I mean, he had like a 2-goal night the other night. He's kind of starting to pick it back up. But I would have loved to have Steven Stamkos, and he was kind of the definition of a player that you would have needed. Like, his leadership would definitely be hitting right now for the Red Wings, and he would definitely be doing good on the power play, and he would definitely be a big help. So if that's true, that's some tough waters. I mean, I don't see when you're giving out 2 years, $4.5 million to Tarasenko, and in the rates of this season in which it's going, he might not even make it past the deadline. And you could have had a secure piece like Steven Stamkos. Who knows what the production would have been here, but I would have been all in favor for that. Yeah.
Hey, straight from the source itself, D-Mac today.
Yeah.
He went after Stamkos, and is it in Trouba?
Yeah. I mean, I knew the Trouba thing, but Stamkos, I I've heard some fizzle around that. I didn't know how true it was. I know the Trouba thing kind of boiled down to his family and his situation in New York. So, I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, Stamkos would have definitely been a good piece, to have in here. But it comes down to he tied up money in some wrong places within the last 3 to 4 years. JT Compher, Andrew Cobb, Ben Sherrod, Jeff Petrie, the list goes on and on. Just some contracts that you could probably be doing better without, and you could replace their production for much less. So,
are we gonna start having a conversation, Caleb, about ownership?
Hey Jeff, Trajan got his guys this offseason. He wanted Tobias, he got Tobias. He wanted Malik Beasley, he got Malik Beasley. He wanted Tim Hardaway Jr., he got him. He's a door. Trajan's a door.
All right.
Yeah.
I will step in.
It's an uncomfortable conversation.
No. The Pistons and the Red Wings are both very average, if not maybe less than average.
Who was expected to make some damage?
Yeah, you can't say that.
We're starting to get into this thing, though,
that's
where we're getting into these arguments of who's it's like I'm worse. No, you're worse. It's like we're fighting over who's a worse team. They're both. That I text today. You guys are going at it in the chat. I'm like, hey, can I comment? How about we just agree on something? They both are bad.
But
they're both bad. Did Klotz freeze or was that me?
Was about to spit.
He was about to say, yeah, Boone, you're right.
Yeah, this might be a good thing for us, Jeff.
He was literally about to say, yeah, Boone, you're right.
You know what he was about to say?
They're
who
both
had playoff expectations.
I agree with that.
True.
I will agree with that.
Missing context.
Yeah, you literally said they're going to make the playoffs, and more teams are allowed in the playoffs in the fucking
That's
NBA.
fair too.
They
play in. I will
you could
say
be
though,
mid as hell, aka the whole Eastern Conference, and make the playoffs.
I will admit,
I said flirt.
I will admit they were supposed to make the playoffs, but at the end of the day, it's like guys, they both need a lot. They're both in tough.
They got to lock in, Boone.
Yeah, both teams. That's why I love hey boys. I love the passion on both sides. I'll stick in the middle and say, hey boys, hey, you both suck, huh? Your team sucks, Jeff. Your team's trash too.
More of indictment on the Red Wings.
Coffee.
Hey, Booner, you want to tell the chat about your bet yesterday, the 2-leg parlay?
I didn't take it.
Yeah, he had no balls. That's why.
I didn't take it.
I
should have taken it, or I should have taken the opposite.
No. Hold on.
Yeah, no balls.
No,
I think you got to tell him.
What bet was this?
I took Pistons money line and Wings or an Islanders money line. But again,
0-2.
Again, I didn't take the bet. It was a joke. It was a joke. You know what? That was in the.
It wasn't a good joke, Boone.
That was in the sanctions of our group. I thought that was between the boys.
Well,
I just had to give you shit, Boone.
It's all right. Hey, they're both trash right now. The thing with the Pistons too, and I'll say this. I'll be the one to say it. They're 20 games in, and this isn't at you. How many games are they? What's their record?
Oh, here we go.
What are they, 7-9?
Because we can say this. They're 7-10. They're 17 games in. When they were 1 game away from 500, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the Pistons are back. They're going to be in the playoffs." No, Jeff. I saw it all over Twitter. They're like, "Oh my gosh,
Twitter's not real, dude."
But
hold on. This is our discussion, not.
I know, but what I'm saying is, let me talk. People are like, "Oh, the Pistons have finally turned it around." No, they didn't. We're 17 games into the season. Let's see after 82 games where they are, and then we can say if they've turned things around.
Can't be the 82 game bet. I'll give
That's
it.
A fact.
The Red Wings we were told.
Hey, I wouldn't say
have already turned it around.
They look like there's improvement. There's improvement, but let's not the people out there that are like, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna make a playoff run." I literally saw people putting out there, "Oh, playoff run from the Pistons." Buddy, we're less than 20 games in. There is no playoff talk or playoff run.
Hey, Booner. Can I ask you? Sorry, are you surprised with the progress that the Pistons did make this far? Did you expect them to be where they're at right now?
No, we didn't.
No, I didn't. I did not. I did not.
I'll admit that.
They look way better than what we've given them credit. Me and you.
I just do not like seeing people who cover the team.
They're making their bed.
I just do not like people who are covering the team.
Relax.
They're not sleeping in it yet, but they're making their bed. They're finding a way.
Okay.
Booner, I'm going to give you some friend-to-friend advice. Twitter, don't take an opinion on Twitter as like gospel. All right.
When you say that, when I say Twitter or X, I'm talking about people who cover the team and people who do YouTube and people who cover it. I'm not saying random fans. I just want you to know that. And this is actually people out there who are tweeting out before the game, a 500 game, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, playoff push! Here we like." I saw videos of people who cover the Pistons who are like, "Playoff, like the Pistons are in a playoff push." Like here we, and it's like, dude, it's 15 games in the season. What are we talking about playoff push for? Like if it was like 38 wins with a couple games to go, like okay, like let's make that content. But like, come on, I hate that. Yes, we can.
They've
talk
got
about
a long way to go. They
have improved. Yes,
they've got a long way to go.
JB's done a great job.
Yes,
Some of the players have stepped up. They still need a number 2 option. That Jalen Duren needs to figure it out. There are a lot of things that need. But like for people to be like, oh my gosh, a playoff push in game 17 when they're 7-10 is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, dude. All right, this coffee has me juiced.
Hey, the Eastern Conference is so terrible though. So I know they have been playing good. I already got that out of the way, and I'm not trying to make that sound like a slight, like where the Eastern Conference is terrible. But they have been playing good, but they do have a chance in the Eastern Conference for sure.
Hey, I like where they're at. I like where we're at. I like where we're at.
We're a team here. We're a team.
That's what hey, Cade's out. Give me 15 minutes. I'll pass the ball. Hey, give me 15 minutes. I'll
facilitate.
Yeah, you know what, Caleb? That's right.
They don't need Steve Blake out there. They don't need that.
Very fine.
Every team needs a Steve Blake.
I would be in a liability on defense.
Hey,
you'd have to hide me. I'd have to be Norris Pole.
The longer we're live, I'm going to keep talking because I've just coffee. I'm drinking like 100 ounces of just straight.
It's actually
jet
not
fuel.
100 ounces. That's very excessive.
I've consumed jet fuel.
Liquid into a drive-through drink. Come on.
I'm going to say this, and I've been consistent on this.
Right, 12 ounces.
Jeff, you know I've been consistent on it over the last 3 or 4 months.
If he's feeling froggy.
All right. Can I speak? Or you guys can have your side conversations. All right, let's cut the side combos out. Jeff, I've been consistent on this. I mean, I'm trying to. This jet fuel's got me juiced. I've been consistent on this for the last 2 months that the Pistons need that second option, and it's probably not Ivy. And shout out Easy and Spenny. I'm starting to hear other people finally talk about it, which I love. And Chris, like that's where I think this team starts to turn the corner. You go get yourself a number 2 option.
But Caleb, let me just say this because I'm going to alley-oop you right now. Okay, you know what? Thank you for noticing that a team needs more talent. They do. Like that's obviously you are 100% right because I don't know who the fuck else would disagree with that statement. They need more talent. But right now, Jaden Ivey, he's that second option. When we're talking about championship, which we will when we get there, we're far away. Then to your point, like they're going to need more guys that can. They need another 20-point score. Yeah. So like it. Do
you not think if they just had one of those guys now that it would be like this? You would like. I wouldn't mind hearing about playoffs now. I feel like they'd be 10-7 instead of 7-10. If you like, so this offseason or the trade, probably not the trade deadline, but this offseason, go out and get a number 2 option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I'm the biggest Cade Cunningham guy in the world. You could look down. You could look at my Twitter up and down. It's all about Cade Cunningham. I think he's a stud. But when you talk about needing talent, you need the talent you already have to, be the guy, be stars. And look, Cade's putting up the triple doubles. He's putting up double doubles. He's putting up good numbers, but he's turning the ball over a lot. As a dominant ball handler, you can't turn the ball over as much as he does in crunch time, and you can't go games where you score 0 points in the fourth quarter. You just can't. So Cade Cunningham needs to find this type of dog that these other guys have. If the Pistons want to take this step. I think Cade Cunningham is the main piece to do that. Yeah, we can go get other guys. But
he plays better with another guy. He doesn't turn the ball over if he doesn't.
We haven't seen it though. Yeah, you're right.
Because you don't have another player to put the ball in his hand. Like you don't have a number 2. Like he has to have the ball in his hand 90% of the time.
Yeah, you're right. Ivy's not a guy you can give the ball to in crunch time and like say like go get a bucket or go make a nice pass. He's like he's just not that guy. I think Ivy's a good player, but he can't be a number 2 on a playoff team.
Like Caleb, I'm sure if you looked at the Phoenix Suns when they didn't have KD and it was just Devin Booker, and he would like when they were kind of losing a little bit, I can guarantee you that he was at the top of the league in turnovers, and they were losing games, and people would be like, "Oh, it's Devin Booker's." But like then when you get a KD or you get another option, Bradley, like all right, now you can like. The ball's out of his hands a little bit more. And I think that's right now. It's like, I can't even blame Cade. Like he's putting up the numbers. If he gets number 2 option, you can blame him because it is his fault, but it's not his fault because he has to have the ball in his hands. It is him. So like the more times you have the ball, the more opportunities are for errors, especially if you're playing as much as he is. Like that's just like the formula to it. If you take a little bit off of him, he's still going to put the same numbers off without the errors.
And they're what we can say to close the show, it has been fun. It has been fun to watch the Pistons.
Exciting.
I think Helen Keller could even fucking notice they need more talent. So like we all agree they need more talent. But right now with what they currently have, it's fun to watch some Pistons basketball. They're gritty. They're in games. They probably thrown like Caleb, what would you say, like 4 games where they've upped like 20? Like it's crazy. But anyway.
Go all in with just
wait. We got to answer one more question he's been asking. Go, Jeff. You.
I'm going to keep this quick. I hope he doesn't go to Philly. I'll keep that very quick. I don't think he will, though. I don't think he will. I think Philly's a market. That's a tough market to be a coach in, man. It's a tough market. He's going to have a lot of pressure. I don't know if that's a good first job, but it's great roster. And if he does, I'll be upset. I'll be very upset. Ben Johnson with Saquon Barkley and that offense. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm straight.
A little overtime today, boys, huh?
I'm straight.
Double OT. A little double OT. It felt
so
like.
Burning issues. I hope he does not do that. I don't think. Go to the AFC. Go to the AFC. Do that. All right.
Left-handed quarterback over here, by the way. If we ever did a flag football,
talking to
me as well. I'm also a southpah.
You're not taking any snaps at QB, Boone. Respect.
I am.
Quit the side conversations.
All right, sorry.
On Sunday, we will be at the Hub Sports Bistro. So be there 12 o'clock. We'll be there till 5 hours after the game. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys there. Come hang out with the crew. Real American Beer. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Until then, we will catch you all.
No fun, police.
See ya.
Do try to come at